A goal to give out 7 hugs every single day. Happy hugging.
A few years ago, we gathered all the smartest people we knew: agents, market centers and regional leaders, technologists, data scientists, and asked them some big questions. What does it look like when technology is simple, smarter, and more human? How can we ensure agents stay at the center of the transaction where their clients want them? How do we accomplish this while eliminating the cost? It's called Command, and it's going to change the way we do business. Start by adding contacts directly, or through a simple voice command with Kelly. All calls, texts, notes, and any other customized fields are synced automatically across all platforms. When you add a new contact to Command, a neighborhood is automatically associated with their address. That way you can share the most pertinent information, such as migration patterns or median home price. Marketing materials have evolved from one-to-many to one-to-one, providing value at the home and neighborhood level for everyone in your database. And with Command, your business is not restricted by IDX. Wherever your clients are, there you are. Another challenge agents identified was the complexity added to the transaction by piecing together different systems connected by spreadsheets. We solved this by ensuring Command aggregated offers, documents, and communications with your client and broker, all in one place. Get a quick overview of your listings, appointments, contracts, closed deals, revenue projections, and customized reporting. Command shines a light on your business so you're never left in the dark. Housed within the Command dashboard is Lead Accelerator, an intelligent marketing tool. Get leads through ROI and AI-optimized ad campaigns across Facebook, Instagram, Google AdWords, Twitter, and an ever-growing list of channels in seconds. And campaigns aren't limited to the digital space. Quickly set up and deploy a modern print marketing campaign to specific homes identified based on your criteria. That means brand awareness grows and leads flow faster with far less spend. And if you think you have to be a computer scientist to take advantage, rest assured, because Command was built hand in hand with agents. It's designed to be used by agents, by you. Simple, smart, human. Command puts you in control of your database, your business, and your future. It's time to take command.
Real estate is about helping people with one of the most fundamental aspects of their lives, home. And you are the expert they turn to. And not just when someone buys or sells, but before, after, and all the little spaces in between. So it can be frustrating when you don't have the time or technology to know when someone needs your help. And when you miss that opportunity, it creates a gap that someone or something else can step into. So let's close that gap and give you the time and technology you need to build high-quality relationships with more people. Let's join forces and demand our technology not replace us, but help us be more human, more present, more everything. Let's take command. Built exclusively by and for Keller Williams agents, Command is your do-it-all, do-it-quickly, people-centric, less stress, more time, end-to-end platform to grow your relationships, your pipeline, and your market share. Whew! Luckily, using it is a lot easier than explaining everything it does, but let's give it a try. Organize, customize, and sync all your contacts. Group them however you want. Know exactly who to reach out to, when, and about the things they really care about. Send personalized neighborhood-centric just-in-time marketing materials in a snap. Have more conversations, build more relationships, earn more business. Say, "Hey Kelly," and escape from your desk in the office. Add a new contact, log notes, and sync everything while on the go. Seamlessly and transparently source, send, and manage referrals through one of the world's largest and most profitable referral networks. Deploy an ROI-maximized ad campaign across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter in like 30 seconds. Integrate the systems and tools you already use every day. Automate paperwork and background tasks. Access real-time revenue projections, end-to-end ROI insights, and goal tracking to get a bird's-eye view of your business. Have more conversations, build more relationships, earn more business. Command empowers you to be a better agent by giving you more time, more value, and more freedom. And best of all, it ensures you and your relationship with your clients remain at the heart of real estate, where you belong.
A few years ago, we gathered all the smartest people we knew: agents, market centers and regional leaders, technologists, data scientists, and asked them some big questions. What does it look like when technology is simple, smarter, and more human? How can we ensure agents stay at the center of the transaction where their clients want them? How do we accomplish this while eliminating the cost? It's called Command, and it's going to change the way we do business. Start by adding contacts directly, or through a simple voice command with Kelly. All calls, texts, notes, and any other customized fields are synced automatically across all platforms. When you add a new contact to Command, a neighborhood is automatically associated with their address. That way you can share the most pertinent information, such as migration patterns or median home price. Marketing materials have evolved from one-to-many to one-to-one, providing value at the home and neighborhood level for everyone in your database. And with Command, your business is not restricted by IDX. Wherever your clients are, there you are. Another challenge agents identified was the complexity added to the transaction by piecing together different systems connected by spreadsheets. We solved this by ensuring Command aggregated offers, documents, and communications with your client and broker, all in one place. Get a quick overview of your listings, appointments, contracts, closed deals, revenue projections, and customized reporting. Command shines a light on your business so you're never left in the dark. Housed within the Command dashboard is Lead Accelerator, an intelligent marketing tool. Get leads through ROI and AI-optimized ad campaigns across Facebook, Instagram, Google AdWords, Twitter, and an ever-growing list of channels in seconds. And campaigns aren't limited to the digital space. Quickly set up and deploy a modern print marketing campaign to specific homes identified based on your criteria. That means brand awareness grows and leads flow faster with far less spend. And if you think you have to be a computer scientist to take advantage, rest assured, because Command was built hand in hand with agents. It's designed to be used by agents, by you. Simple, smart, human. Command puts you in control of your database, your business, and your future. It's time to take command.
Capital Title. I'm going to let her start us off, and then we'll start.
Okay, thank you very much for having me.
My favorite.
I pay her to say that. Just kidding. No, actually, Amy was my very first client when I switched to title 3 years ago, and so graciously gave me a shot, and has been one of my biggest supporters. But it's also been such an amazing journey to watch. Or amazing honor to watch her journey and watch her build the business that she has. She formerly came from education, so it's really cool. Y'all have quite a treat getting to learn from her, pick her brain. Hey, how are you? Pick her brain. And the one thing that I love the most about Amy is her willingness to meet with other agents and share her. She's not worried about sharing her tricks because she's confident in her craft and she wants everyone else to succeed. So make sure you lean on her and pick her brain. I know I still do. I'll call her and ask her questions. But with that being said, I am Brittany Deck. I am a business development rep for Capital Title across the street. Know this side of the room, and so I'm going to be speaking to you guys. What was your name?
I'm Candace.
Brittany. Nice to meet you, Candace. So as a business development rep, I work really closely with my agents leading up to an executed contract, meaning goal planning, client appreciation planning, going over all of our tools and resources and helping you identify which ones speak to you and will help you grow your business. But in addition to that, arming you guys with, if you're interested, things like property profile binders to help set yourself apart during the interviewing process for a listing, tie downs, listing presentations, buyer presentations. You have the best resources here. Rely on your mentors and leadership here. But if you ever want to call and role play with me before you go to a listing appointment or a buyer appointment, or if you want to call and role play before you have to cold call, by all means, please call me, because I'm role playing with people within my office before I cold call. Really annoys them, but it makes me feel a little more confident, and I'm able to work out the jitters. And I feel like that applies in y'all's line of work too. So that's what I'm here for. But it goes beyond that. I want to help you guys identify your strengths and then also create a business that is by referral. Because the greatest compliment a realtor can ever get is someone who they've worked with in the past referring them business because they loved the experience with you so much. So that's my goal for you guys. There are too many things to list, but outside of business development, I will be connecting you with an escrow officer that I feel is the best fit for you guys. The thing that I'm most proud about my company is that we are family owned. We're independently owned. We really care about that customer service element. It is not lost on me that y'all have a million options when it comes to title. And title is pretty black and white. The process does not vary. Fees vary only a little bit. I think where the rubber meets the road is in the relationship and the service that we provide you. So not only are you going to have the relationship with me, but then you're going to have that paired relationship of your escrow officer. My escrow officers travel to close you guys. So if you find yourself, my goal is to find you the escrow officer that you love, that you don't even consider anyone else. But once you find that escrow officer, you're not going to have transactions always in that area. You may have a transaction in South Austin. The great part of that is my escrow officers are not bound to our brick and mortars. We can close you at restaurants. We've done a bedside closing for the Jorgensen team. We've closed at prisons. We've closed in hospitals, Bush's Chickens, you name it, we've been there. But what's most convenient for you guys and for your clients? We have our own underwriters. We have our own legal team. We have 4 underwriters, one of which we own. FNTI, Stewart, Chicago, Fidelity. The beauty of having that many options is if we can't get one to write what we need, we have 3 other people to defer to make sure we get what we need to close the transaction. Then once you bring a transaction to capital, you used your property profile binder. You told them, Mr. Seller, once you sign a listing agreement with me today, I will leave this with you in a centrally located place in the house so that as buyers and buyers agents walk through, they can get a more intimate idea of the property. Then you come to closing. I will queue up 100 just sold cards for you guys. I can split the cost, $53 to you and to me. That includes postage. It's a very seamless process. That way, the minute the transaction funds, and my escrow officers do a really good job of funding at the table. The minute we fund, the 100 cards will go out in a radius around the property to maximize exposure in the neighborhood for you. Now,
here's mine if anybody wants to look at it.
oh, perfect, Kay, thank you. I'll pass that around the room. So this is one of the only times title gets to co-brand. Otherwise, it's considered a P53 violation. I don't know why it's just solds and not just listeds, but we can only do just solds. So with that being said, maybe you want to do a mixture of the rooftops in the neighborhood and people that are in your pipeline or your sphere of influence. You can do that. You would just provide that database to my contact at MS Marketing. I never see your databases. I never see your credit card information. It's a very seamless process. You can choose from one of 6 templates or you can customize it. Kay, did you customize yours or did you use a template?
I used the template.
Okay. Kay used the template. They're beautiful. I know Crystal on the team last week did one that was 100% customized. So with that said, maybe you don't even want to, maybe you had a unique situation where you sold a property down in Circle C for a family member, but you don't want to drive all the way to Circle C, so you don't want to farm it. You don't lose those 100 that were designated for that transaction. Just let me know and I'll stack it on the next one. So it's awesome. So again, that's just one example of helping you get the business, and then a second example of lead capture afterwards. My intention is to reach out to the 3 of you. We'll schedule some time, 4 of you actually, schedule some time, and then we'll visit in depth one-on-one about your business and how I can help you guys. But all I ask is if you need anything, just hop across the street and ask for me. I'm happy to help you with anything. We have marketing material in the marketing suite that y'all are welcome to come and grab. I'll leave you with one more thing. It's always interesting. Amy's like, come by and chat real quick. I'm like, oh, so many things to touch. Popeyes. Who has heard of Popeyes? Not Popeyes chicken. Okay, awesome. Popeyes are a reason to stop by or chat with your clients without having to have a direct conversation about real estate. It allows you to appreciate people in your sphere and avoid becoming transactional, and become in the forefront of their mind should they need assistance in the future or know of someone. One of the biggest offenses are agents not staying in touch with their past clients. But sure doesn't hurt any less whenever they see on Facebook that, they went with another agent to sell the house that they helped them buy. So Popeyes are something that I will go over with you. We'll discuss client appreciation in detail. Amy and her team does it all the time. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Just do it. I will provide Popeye tags for you guys. I will create an Excel sheet that has what tag you're using, what item you're attaching, the audience that you're targeting, and I give a flex week, a window for you to assemble and deliver, because things pop up during the week, so I feel like identifying one day is a little tough. But this is just an example. I buy all of my client appreciation from the dollar store. That doesn't mean you have to do the dollar store, but you also don't need to break the bank to appreciate your clients. And similarly, you can use any of our marketing pieces at Capital as your Popeye item of value, because items of value come in different forms, right? Not just something monetary. Maybe instead, summer months are coming, maybe instead you have a list of families in the pipeline that have children. How awesome would it be to swing by their house with this awesome summer camp guide from Capital Title with a Popeye tag that says, enjoy summer. And they may just fall over. I know as a parent, but oh my God, thank you. I can get rid of my kids for the day. But it's one reason to talk with them and not have to be car salesy about it. Do you have anything to add?
No, each year I sit down, Brittany and I hang out now because we're friends, but each year I sit down and talk to her about what my plan is for the year. I set goals with my team. Kelly Williams has goal setting. We're kind of coming up on the end of the year, so that's something you'll want to think about doing. And we make a pop-by plan to how many times am I going to do it, how many am I going to do, different marketing ideas, and it's extremely helpful. If you ever find that you wake up in the morning and you're like, what am I going to do today? I don't have anything to do today. You need to make an appointment with Brittany, because she'll give you so many ideas on how you can get more clients, maximize your time, that's really beneficial. So get to know her. She's full of great ideas. So many ideas I haven't even been able to execute before.
Well, let's see. I know where you live, so I can show up and be like, do this. But no, Amy touched on something, business planning. I just stepped away from a meeting with Candy. We're planning out all the CE courses that Capital Title is going to be bringing to you guys this year. And one of the things that I suggested to her was business planning and a vision board creating class. And she's interested in that. So be on the lookout. We're going to fine tune some things now, but I'll come in. I know y'all already have this on the books, but I'm going to bring in my Excel sheet. We're going to identify income. Then it's going to populate how many number of, listings, buy side, sell side that you need to take, how many appointments, how many phone calls, so on and so forth. It's very involved. It's 5 tabs, but it's something that you guys can take with you. Then do a vision board, and then start the new year off with a fire in your belly for never-ending referrals or any other programs that you've got. Does that sound like something y'all would want?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for
you,
your
Brittany.
time, guys.
Your materials are awesome.
Thank
too.
you.
I've been by
Thank
the
you
last
so much.
3 weeks to pick up since we started meeting.
Yeah. Thank you.
For open houses I've been doing on the weekends.
Nice.
Something
Thank you.
nice to hand out
Thank
besides
you.
just a card. So it's good.
Well, I appreciate that, and we didn't have time to talk about it today, but that's why I want to have some one-on-one appointments with you guys, because we have our CAP app that can create amazing geo reports for open houses. I have agents ask me all the time, hey, can you do a binder for an open house? I don't mind doing it, but if it's not your listing, I think you might be better suited to do a reload packet, which I'm happy to put together for you, with that geo report for that specific property. And through the CAP app, you will create it. I will walk you through it, but I want you creating it because it's going to have your headshot, your logo branded on that marketing piece. So I think that's a better package to present at an open house than maybe a property profile binder. But then we'll talk about REI Source and how to, for open houses, how to go out and cherry pick buyers for that open house. We'll do a non-owner occupied search. And then we will do specific information for that household along with an invitation for that open house. Be more than just putting some balloons and a sign up and knocking 10 to the right, 10 to the left. Do all those things, but then go out and find people in the neighborhood that are renting or might want to move up based on square footage, length of residence, equity, things like that. I will keep talking, and I don't want to take away from your
You're
time.
fine. These are all good. So I'm going to be referring back to these resources that Brittany's talking about throughout the day. So I'm glad that we started off with Brittany. So,
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys. We'll be in touch. How did your listing go?
I'm still working on it.
You're still going? Did you like the binder?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good.
Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. All right, bye, guys. Answer my phone when I call y'all. Okay, I'll get your information. Bye, everyone. Have a good day.
Awesome. So, when I first started in the business, Brittany was one of the first people that I sat down with, and we kind of both grew together. So it's really fun to see all the things that she's offering. Just like when you are working with buyers, you really need to understand the loan process. Hopefully you've sat down with a loan officer and you kind of understand the difference between an FHA and a conventional and a VA, some basic information. It's really important that you set an appointment with a title rep and you partner when you have listings, because you need that resource to be able to call for the buyers. You have to be able to call the lender and ask questions. How do I fill out this third-party financing addendum? What do I put in these blanks? You need to be able to do the same on the listing side, especially when you have some unique scenarios. So that's what I love the title companies for. It's wonderful that they have business reps that are just here to support our business. So please utilize those. So to get started real quick, this Listing Boot Camp manual is an amazing resource. This was created by Rachel Dunn. When I first started at Keller Williams, I'm coming up on 4 years. She was my coach, and she's amazing. Kay knows her pretty well.
Her last name is Payton.
It's now
Just
Kate
saying.
Payton, yes. And where is she now?
She's at KLRI.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's great. But this is kind of Rachel's way of doing Listing Boot Camp. I have a teaching background. I was a teacher with Round Rock Schools for 9 years, and if I don't create my own plan, I just don't know how to teach it. So I don't know how to teach Rachel's way of doing things. I only know how to teach my way of doing things. So again, really great resources in here. We'll refer to it a little bit, and I want you to have it, but I'm not going to be teaching from the manual. So the teacher in me also likes to use graphic organizers because this is how I operate. So hopefully this is a good system for you too. So the first thing that we have up here is prospecting, pre-listing appointment, and after the appointment. Those are the 4 different times throughout the listing process that I want to talk to you about today. So what I want to do is go around the room. I know a few of you, please say your name, how long you've been in the business, whether you just got licensed last week or you've been in for a little while and you're here for a refresher, hoping to learn something new. And then what part of it are you most interested in learning about? Is it prospecting and finding the listings? Is it preparing for the appointment itself? Is it attending the appointment and getting that listing? Or is it what to do once you get the listing? okay? Because they're all different parts of your business. We could spend an entire day on each of them if we wanted to, but I want to give you what's most valuable to you. If most of you are over here, like, how do I even talk to somebody about listing their house? How do I find these people? Then this is where we'll spend the bulk of it. Okay, so I just kind of want to know where you are at in the process.
I'm Amanda Peterson. I have had my license for about 6 weeks, and I've been working with several buyers and things like that. I haven't.
And so have you been through an entire transaction yet?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm in process with like 3.
Ooh,
Right now. So
that's a fast start. Good
so
for
we're
you.
not there yet.
Okay, good for you. And a lot of this stuff isn't going to make sense, like title and title commitments and things, until you actually see a house go through that process. It's kind of too abstract to really visualize at this point.
I met her at an open house. She came to my open house. I did.
Oh, wonderful.
Hey, Peyton, and 5 months now.
Fine by. I'm also Kay's mentor, so
Yes.
we have a good relationship as well.
Shelton Gilmore, had my license a little over a year. Only done one deal though.
Buyer or listing?
I had a buyer, but now I've got a listing that's supposed to go live the 1st.
Yes. Okay, great. Get some good tips today then. Excellent. Congratulations.
Girouard Franks. Been in the business for about 10 months. One lease transaction, and will be a pre-listing appointment coming up.
Okay, we're gonna get you prepared, so you're gonna seal the deal there. Okay, good, good.
My name is Brent Bobby. I've had my license for a little over 2 years, and I've been practicing for about a year. I've done 3 transactions, all buyers.
Okay.
And I'm most interested in probably prospecting and pre-listing.
I'm Candace Schlager. I've had my license for about a week now. And I guess I'm interested in prospecting, but everything's new to me.
Yeah. Well, we'll concentrate, it sounds like, mostly over here so far. And then the rest of it you'll figure out and you'll probably come back later. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Carolyn Cabell. I just got interested in the. She's also an amazing softball coach, if anybody needs it. She coaches my daughter.
That's great.
I was looking at Richie and I was like, you look so familiar, because I've only been to one of the practices. Dad goes with her all the time. So
That's great.
Okay.
That's great. You got connections everywhere.
Addison.
Okay, that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. Oh my gosh.
You're good. You're good. You're good. We were just going around introducing ourselves and how long we've been in the business.
Okay.
And also, we're kind of dividing this up into prospecting, getting those listings, how to prepare for the appointment, what to do at the appointment, and then after the appointment. So if you two wouldn't mind sharing your names, how long you've been in the business, and which part of this you might be most interested in learning.
My name is Laura Medrano. I've been for. Sorry, what else was I supposed to say?
What part of the process, have you had any listings?
Yes. 3.
3?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Did they sell? Are they active?
No, they're done. They
Okay,
were
good.
done for a while.
So you've been
I'm
through
very
the process
buyer
3
heavy.
times. Cool.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my name is Noe Medrano. We're a team, and I've only been in for 9 months. And as far as leases, as far as listings, I've only had a lease.
So she gets to boss you.
Try.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start off with the prospecting. If we start at the prospecting and work our way over, this is where it's kind of the conversation will lead to. We'll get through it all, but let's get the bulk of it done over here. And then please ask questions. Please interject. Troubles you've had, suggestions, whatever it might be, because we're kind of all in the same boat. This is the hardest part, is finding the listings. People aren't just calling you up saying, oh, I found you online, can you list my house? That's not very typical. So Popeyes is something that Brittany mentioned. That's something that I love to do. What I have found is that some people gravitate towards certain activities, other people gravitate towards other activities. We're gonna make a nice list here. You can't do them all well. You need to probably pick 3. And so when you talk about business planning, you talk about looking forward into next year, what I encourage you to do is probably take your top 3 and concentrate on them all year long. And then that's how you're gonna see, is this working for me? Is this something I enjoy? For example, I have small children. I'm a single mother. I do not like open houses. It eats up my weekends and my time with my kids. It's not that I dislike the process of open houses, it's just not how I choose to spend my time. I don't do open houses. I get people like you that might want to do open houses to do my open houses for me, and when I go on my listing appointment, I explain that to my clients. I set that expectation up front. I love business networking and I love pop buys. Those are a couple of the things that I love to do. So I'm going to go ahead and add business networking on here. That is something that I do. The thing that I do is called BNI, if you've ever heard of it. It is an exclusive group where there's only one residential realtor in the group. I get probably 30 to 50% of my business from my business networking. Just got a phone call this morning. The financial advisor in my group says, hey, I just sat down with somebody. They want to list their house with you this summer. They pretty much just are handed to me because I have relationships with other business partners. I've worked really hard to form that group, be a part of that group. That's taken a couple of years to do, but now that I've done it, it works really well. What things are you trying? What things are you doing? What things have you heard of that we could add to this list of where you could find potential listings? Shout them out. Raise your hand. Whatever you want to do.
So like business to business, like, I mean, is that something that would fall in that category?
Absolutely. So I would say that's similar. Can you give an example of what that might be?
So like I was talking with Michelle and she suggested maybe like going to like places that have a cork board and just picking up cards and trying to make those business to business relationships. And then maybe you could like refer business back and forth.
Absolutely. So business networking, and then we're going to call that B2B is what that's called, business to business networking. For example, you know a painter, right? That painter is constantly in people's homes. I think I saw a statistic once, it's about 80% of people will do some sort of home improvement project before they sell their home. So if you get in with those home improvement people, the handymans, the painters, whatever it might be, they're going to hear about somebody selling their house before other realtors do. So if you start sending that painter business, that painter will feel more inclined to send you business. You sit down, have a coffee, have a lunch together, you keep in touch. Maybe you take them pop buys, you send them a holiday card, you let them know they're appreciated. And you don't have to have a lot of clients to send their way. You can get on social media and when people say, hey, does anybody know? Yes, I know a painter, I know a handyman, whatever it might be. So you can just kind of start talking to your sphere of people to do that. And I actually just kind of gave one away here. Your sphere. That's going to vary. But you should be reaching out to your sphere. If you haven't taken some of those classes, Never ending referrals, thank you. That's absolutely what you should be doing. One of the scripts I like is calling up people and say, do you know any good handymen? Do you know any good painters? Well, then now you've got an introduction to those people. You had a reason to call your sphere. Now you sit down with those handymen and those painters. You have that relationship. So you can call your whole sphere just to compile that. I believe on command, I don't know if it's on our personal sites or on the KW app, they haven't rolled it out yet, but they should be rolling out where you can list your top referral partners, kind of your top people that you recommend. And so start compiling those lists now. Get together with those people, especially if business is slow. You know, HVAC people, they kind of have their summer and maybe it's their time to sit down and talk with you now. Learn more about how their systems work. It's great to sit down with a septic person and figure out how septic systems work. So you have a little bit more knowledge going into transactions that way. So whatever your sphere might be, that might be, for Kay and myself, we were both teachers, so it might be past teachers. I used to put those pop buys in their mailboxes. I remember Halloween one year I had a rubber glove and I filled it with candy, just cheap candy from the dollar store, and it said real estate can be scary, and it looked all kind of mangly because it was a rubber glove full of candy, and it said please call me if you have any questions. And just stuck those in all the teachers' mailboxes. So you could be doing whatever fits your personality, whatever is your sphere. What else could be included in your sphere besides your friends? Who was your sphere of people that you knew? Your neighbors?
Church, neighbors.
Church?
People, this sounds bad, the bartenders at the restaurant she goes sit at.
Nope, that's good.
Visit with.
They talk to everybody.
On a constant basis.
Okay.
Events and activities like sports or getting involved up
Sports, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever your kids are involved in.
Whatever your kids are doing, whatever you're doing, whatever it is that you enjoy, you don't need to take up a sport to meet people to sell real estate to them, okay? You're already doing things that you enjoy in your life naturally, and those are the people that you have relationships with, and you just need to be able to remind them that you are in real estate and you're there to support them for whatever information they need, whatever advice they need, and then eventually through their real estate deals. So you've got to be tapping into that kind of stuff. So that's kind of your sphere. What else? Who else? If you had to go get a listing this week, life or death, what would you do? That kind of goes with your neighbors. I'm also going to put /farming. I don't know if you've heard that term. Farming is one of the other things that I'm trying to do on a higher level. I live in Vista Oaks, which is at 1431 St. Bass. I've lived there for about 7 or 8 years, and I am constantly at the HOA events, sponsoring them. I did a national night out event in my neighborhood. I'm on social media posting. I am volunteering with the PTA that my neighborhood feeds into. I'm doing everything I can to be involved in my neighborhood, not just for business, but actually because I'm interested in my neighborhood and the value of my home there. So getting involved with your neighborhood in various ways, being present. If there is another agent that has a listing in your neighborhood, what could you do? Go, call them up. Either call them up and say, do you want me to hold an open house for you? Maybe you coordinate a neighborhood open house event where you don't actually host the open house, but maybe you coordinate it with all the other agents and you advertise it. Say, hey, all these open houses, and then you can just go, walk the houses to get familiar with your neighborhood. So open houses are huge. What else? Sale by owners. You guys heard about how to get those? You are not allowed to solicit a listing by another brokerage. Okay? If you see Nextdoor, Redfin, Remax in somebody's yard, you cannot go knock on their door and solicit their business. If you see a for sale by owner sign, that is not listed by another brokerage. You can go up and knock on their door, and you can say what you need to say. You can say, I'm a realtor in the neighborhood, I'm a realtor in the area, I noticed your home is for sale, how is that going for you? Can I help you? Can I offer you some statistics? What do you think is going on? Why hasn't it sold yet? And they're probably not going to be too receptive. There's a reason why they didn't hire a realtor. They either think they can do it by themselves, they don't want to pay the money, they don't like realtors, whatever it might be. This is where things like pop buys might come in handy. You might be able to look them up on their tax records, and maybe somebody knows them, whatever it might be. Sometimes on the tax records you can see they're a veteran. They purchased a home with a VA loan. And you might have a connection that way. Whatever you want to do that's not slimy, that's ethical, to help them, okay? And you are helping them. Studies have shown that when homes are sold by realtors that they actually do net more, even after they pay the. Maybe you share those studies with them. You can be sending them stuff in the mail, you can be dropping by, whatever it might be.
Where do you find studies like that?
Look at the National Association of Realtors. Just a Google search sometimes will come up with them as well. They put out some statistics. There's not a lot of things that say this is better than this, but if you say what is the national average for homes, what is the national average for sale by owners, you can see that the national average sold by realtors is much higher than those that are for sale by owners. You can pull up some statistics. There's a lot of stats that you can run just in general through the MLS. Maybe you just pull up some general statistics for the neighborhood. So if you go over here to stats, you go residential. So for example, I'm going to do Vista Oaks, and I might want to know what is the There we go. Sale price versus list price ratios. I do something like the house. I can show them historically what has happened with the home prices in the neighborhood. I can pull this data for them. Maybe I put this on a little piece of paper, write them a handwritten note and say, oh, by the way, you know, we're moving into a hot season, we're moving into a slow season, or you know, whatever it might be. You can pull whatever statistics you want. This isn't super great, but you can customize and you can change them. So maybe we just do the past 2 years, a little bit easier to work with. And you can see that the market definitely goes up and down with the time of year. You might want to write them a note, say we're moving into the slow season. How can I help you? Something like that. Same thing with expireds. Okay? Those you're going to find when you log in. New listings, withdrawn listings, expired listings right here. Okay? Do not call temporarily off market. Those are still technically listed with another brokerage if they're logging it correctly. That might be somebody needed to pull their home off the market for a little bit because they're going on vacation or they're getting some repairs done. So a lot of times you can see that they're already listed and they'll put that in the notes. But if something is withdrawn or expired, you can go ahead and you just click on that and it's going to bring up these right here. The other thing that you might want to do is you might want to go ahead and search expires, not that it just happened today because there's a lot of other realtors in the Austin area that are hitting them up, but maybe you find just in Round Rock that has expired or withdrawn in the last 60 to 90 days. Because those people probably aren't getting as bothered by other realtors as the ones that just expired yesterday. And so then maybe you call them up and see if they're still interested in. I have myself set up for my neighborhood for all activity. So if somebody goes expired or withdrawn, I know immediately in my neighborhood that that's somebody I can go knock on. Anything else that you can think of? Do you feel like you could get out there and go find some listing based on this?
What is the main reason for people going on expired?
So when you list with somebody, I like to list for 6 months, and maybe it didn't sell in those 6 months. Maybe they only did the listing agreement for 3 months. A lot of people, especially moving into this time of the year, will say, I want to list only through beginning of November. I don't want to be listed through the holidays because I don't want to go through the hassle. So a lot of people will purposely their listing agreements. There's a lot of different reasons. There's not necessarily a good way of knowing, but that's what it means is that listing contract. I had some clients that wanted to buy a house that had expired. They saw it, we wanted to go see it, the next day it expired. So I called up that past listing agent because I couldn't get a hold. I left a note at their door. I said, we really want to see this house, we really want to see it. And they said, well, the offer they had put on another house, they no longer had because it was contingent on the sale of their home. So because they couldn't get their home sold, they no longer were buying a house, so they no longer wanted to sell. And that was just their individual situation. Sometimes you just don't know. Okay. You should be setting an appointment once a day, the goal. That appointment is not necessarily a listing appointment or a bio consultation. That appointment might be with the painter, the handyman, whatever it might be. Because you need to be out talking to people and meeting people face to face. If you're hiding in here taking classes or hiding behind your computer, you are not going to be having a lot of. This is a very social business. It's a very face-to-face business. If you can get face-to-face with somebody, you are very likely to get that listing. There was another statistic that's like 80% of people will list with the first realtor they meet. So as long as you're not incompetent, as long as you show up on time and you're giving them the basic knowledge they're looking for, you should be able to secure that listing. A lot of times you're competing as well. Speaking of competing, there are also paid leads. You guys paid for any Zillow leads or anything like that? Okay, I don't recommend it. Have you been called with people trying to get you to pay for leads? Yes. So the things that I will do will be referral agreements. Let me give you an example. There are a lot of people that are trying to sell you a batch of leads. They're also selling these leads to other agents, and if you're not on the phone calling, and they're calling more than you, they slide in and they get them. You're not able to take them from a list of people to an actual client very often when you pay for those leads. They have the lowest or one of the lowest conversion. So one of the things that I will agree to is to be listed with some of these companies that do referral agreements. So they'll send me a client and they'll send me an agreement that say that I'll pay 25 or 30% of my commission. And when we close, they get that piece of their payment. I don't pay anybody upfront for leads. I have no problem paying a referral fee. And so that can be from businesses that are soliciting. A lot of them will do like, we're going to find you the top agent. And what they've done is made sure that you're licensed and you don't have any negative reviews online. And then now you're the top agent that they've sent somebody to, and they just collect the fee from. And that's fine. The other thing that you might want to do is look for referrals from out-of-state people. And you can be contacting people through KW Connect, trying to build your referral network through there. You can go into conferences. Family Reunion is a great place to meet people. Mega Camp is a great place to meet people that Keller Williams does. And then once you have those relationships with people, if they know anybody moving to the area. So a typical referral agreement is going to be about 25%. I have some clients coming in that today actually, and I have a referral agreement with an agent in Dallas. She's getting 25%, sending it over. And do remember that if you have somebody that's moving out of the area, you want to reach out, research, find them that agent, and get your referral fees. So referral agreements. So I'm going to go ahead and put other agents on there. Out of town. Okay, we might come back and add to this, but I think that's a pretty good list so far. So again, I would pick probably 3. The one that you're always going to want to do is this one right here. Your sphere. Those are the people that already know, like, and trust you. They may not see you as a realtor yet, especially if you're new to the business. It took a long time for my friends to see me as something other than to see me as a realtor. And that's okay. You know, Facebook posts, seeing me doing business, hearing me talk about it, and now they all see me as a realtor. I see my friends and family, how's business, how's business? Nobody asks me how teaching is. So that takes time. What I would do is I would fill your time with some short-term and some long-term. So long-term might be talking to your sphere, farming your neighborhood, business networking, pop buys. Those are long-term relationships. Short-term is going to be open houses for sale by owners, expires. Those people are out and about right now. They're ready to move. And so those are, you know, do a little bit short-term so you pay yourself, a little bit long-term so you're building your business long-term. You guys have any questions, comments about prospecting? Very quiet. That was like 30 minutes of me just talking, so please.
So like for referral agreements, is that kind of like referencing like Op City? Like, have you worked with them? Do you recommend that?
Say it one more time.
Op City?
I don't know what Op City is.
So I think that's what it's called. So it's basically leads, but you pay on the back end.
Yeah.
So like when you close a deal, is that?
I'm good with those. I mean, if you don't have to pay anything until you get paid, 25%, that's the same as an out-of-town realtor sending you something or a company sending you something. Fine. Now the thing you do have to be careful of, and I've made this mistake before, is if you're paying a 25 or 30% referral fee to somebody else because they sent you the business, you need to take a 6%. You cannot take a 5% listing and then pay them 25% and then pay for your marketing and pay for your overhead. You're not doing yourself any favor. So just know that when you get a client that's a referral like that you're paying a referral fee on, you should make a note in command so that you don't forget that, where that referral came from. Just know that you need to get a 6%. Pretty darn close.
Examples of, where did you say, Op City?
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a few. I'm trying to think. Home Captain is one that I've heard of. Referral Exchange. I had one that was really interesting that came to me from Colorado. It was just an agent. It was a Remax agent, and he created a website and said, you know, this is the national something of something something, where he kind of just said, what we do is we pair you with the best realtors. Okay, well, and then he had people that would come to him, and then he would research and find somebody in that area that did business or got some good reviews, and then he would send it out with a referral agreement. So I just had one show up in my email box one day. Turns out another guy on my team got the same client from another resource because he was contacting all these different "we'll find you the best agent" websites, and he set the appointment for me and got but that's okay. I'm not out any money. I didn't pay anything, but he's gonna have to pay his $25. If you just do a little Google for find the best agent, you can maybe see who the companies are, and then call and say, how do I become one of your preferred agents?
I know Zillow leads are not working. Like
Correct. Yeah, that's where you pay for a bunch up front, or you buy a zip code. You know,
and
next
they're
door
sending it
is,
to like 100 realtors at once, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can spend a lot of money and not see a return.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do.
Try not to do that.
One thing that's cool though is if you get, like I've had 2 lease listings, and Zillow people and Rent.com people are contacting me all the time, and it may be like I had one contacted me like last week, and they want a January. Okay, great. You know, this property's gonna not last till January, but let me get your information, and I'd be happy to find you a property. And so I've got like 8 people now that I'm looking at, and I would have never been able to get those 8 people. One lady's in North Dakota. She's moving here back. So, awesome. You know, so getting a listing is a critical thing.
Yeah.
Okay, here are a few more. Sign calls. Once you have a listing, you need to do your best to leverage that listing. You've probably heard that listings bring buyers. Mm-hmm. Okay, buyers are buyers. Listings bring buyers. So if you have a choice between a buyer and a listing is a lot of times more lucrative in that way. So for each sign you put in a yard, you should be getting a certain number of calls off of that. And then your job is to, when somebody calls, oh, let me get that information for you. Are you working with an agent? Would you like me to send you a list of other properties that are similar? And converting those sign calls, those people that are out there looking, into your buyer clients. So that's a great way to continue to do prospecting. That's not necessarily for more listings, but some of those people will then need to sell their house, or you get them as clients, whatever it might be. Another good way to do to get more listings is online reviews. So I think I'm up to like 25 5-star Zillow reviews right now, which I've worked really hard to harass my past clients to do for me. But sometimes I get calls, we saw your reviews on Zillow. I've gotten a few calls like that.
So how do you do that?
You create a profile. You can do that on, I believe, you should do that on each of the major websites. Realtor.com, Zillow, create a profile for yourself. You just upload your headshot, put in your basic information. And I know Zillow, especially when I sell a home and it's finalized through the MLS, it'll then appear. So if you go and you look at mine, you can see a map of all the different homes that I've sold. $23. Oh, I'm short. Okay. But if you look down here, you can see, okay, this is where I generally do business. It's very much north of Austin. And here's where it is. So that's really kind of cool. And then it has all of my different homes that I've sold. Oh, I wondered how many I was at. That's a good, you know what? Zillow's tracking it for me. There we go.
So for those of us who haven't sold,
that's okay. That's okay. We talked about the business partners before. There's no reason why a painter can't get on and just give a testimonial about your work ethic and how great you don't have to have sold them a house for them to give you a great online review. Okay, so you can get, I would avoid people with the same last name as you. That looks a little suspicious, but there's no reason why you can't just call it people that you've had interactions with. Hey, I'm really trying to build my business. Would you mind giving me an and then social media. I did get a client once because I was posting on Nextdoor a lot, And she said, oh, you seem to really know what's going on. And so I sold their house for them and helped them buy another one. They just saw me on social media. So being active. Again, if you try to do all of these things, you're not going to do any of them well. So pick the ones that you're most interested in. If you're into technology, maybe it's social media and business networking with other technology people, you know, whatever it might be. If you're a social butterfly, maybe it's knowing every bartender in town. I like that idea. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it. And it's really interesting to see all the different ways people get business, because everybody knows someone who's a homeowner, buying a house, selling a house. It's not limited to a certain type of thing. Yeah, there we go. Plus, hey, you're gonna have a good time while you're networking, right?
I heard about an agent that went to ACL, followed the sign and said, if you're moving to Austin, see all those business cards.
That's a great idea. Thinking outside the box there, absolutely. Another way that you can do it is you can do. I'm gonna call it a rebate in quotes. I just lost a client over a rebate. So they were sent to me through one of those you pay a referral fee at the end type thing. And so the client, I had an appointment, did a buyer consult with him, and then, 2 days before we were supposed to go look at houses, he was like a $500,000 client. This is why it's still. He goes, oh, what are you going to give me for a rebate? I said, what do you mean? And he said, oh, another agent offered me a rebate. I said, well, there's no such thing as a rebate, but what that is that person is paying to work with them. They're giving up their commission so that you'll work with them. This is on the buy side. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't do that. I just don't, and here's my value, and I kind of explained what I do for my clients, and then I know. So some people are just looking for that bottom line. The reason I do think rebates can be a good thing is because sometimes you might want to offer something to a certain demographic. For example, I'm a former teacher. I have no problem helping teachers who I know have a pretty low income get into a home. I want to do that. I don't mind getting a piece of my commission. My team also does that for military, active military, EMS, firefighters, police officers. So if that's something that you want to offer, that is something you could market yourself if you have a connection to certain people in the community. I will caution you that don't make that your entire business, that you're just devaluing yourself in that way. We are not a discount brokerage. That's a different type of business model. That's fine, but we are a full service brokerage, standard 6%. Okay, so if you do offer something, make it selective.
How would you even market that if you don't want rebates on your?
No, what we say is up to 20% of our gross commission towards your closing costs. So we say up to because sometimes there are some lending limits. For example, if somebody's doing new construction, the builder is offering $8,000 in closing costs. You cannot also offer $2,000 in closing costs because now it exceeds their limit for their closing costs. You cannot put money towards their down payment. So that we always use the words up to. So we'll say something like, we are offering up to 20% of our commission towards closing costs for teachers.
So then what do you do if the builder's offering them 8?
You offer them the maximum amount you can, and it is what it is. You cannot legally, you can't pay their down payment for them. And you cannot pay them. It's illegal. There's not a limit to your closing gift you can get them. But again, I wouldn't start a reputation of giving away like Coach purses or something for closing gifts. That's not for Roombas or whatever it might be. That gets expensive. And a reminder too, if somebody sends you a referral that's not a realtor, what's the maximum you are allowed to give them for a referral? $50 gift card. Right. So if anybody's doing more than that, that is not okay. All right. You guys want to take a break? Keep going. Feel free to get up if you need to. Lunch is going to be at noon, so we have another hour. So maybe let's do the pre-listing appointment, and then we'll take a break. That'll be kind of halfway through. All right, pre-listing appointment. So the whole point is to get in front of these people. Somebody might not be interested until next summer. That's a referral I just got this morning. So what do? I'm not going to wait until next summer to talk to them. That gives somebody else from now until next summer to win them over. What I want to do is get in front of them, meet them face to face, and show my value right away. So what I'll do when I leave here is I'll give them a call. I say, so-and-so sent me your information. How can I help you? Oh, we're thinking of selling, but not for a while. We're good. And I said, okay, well, do you mind if I come see the house? Just want to know, what kind of condition it's in, and that way I can give you a better value. I also like to provide them with a net sheet, which they love, which you should be doing. That's something that title can help you with, is to create a net sheet that shows exactly how much they'll walk away from the sale with. If they sell their house for $300,000, they are not getting $300,000. You need to be very clear that you are communicating that. So when you list the home at the price, you need to be giving them a net sheet. And what I do is I have different scenarios. It's 5 different ones, and I'll pull up my net sheet here in a little bit and show you. These are the different possible outcomes of various offers. So they can see what the worst case scenario, best case scenario. I also let them know this can change with the market. Let's say the election year is coming up. Interest rates can change. The market can change. So this is just given the information that I have today. A lot of people will pressure you for an exact number or an exact answer. You do not have a crystal ball. You cannot do that. You can give them a range. You can give them your best advice. You can give them your best guess. But that's what. So the pre-listing appointment, you want to set the appointment. You're going to be offering them a net sheet. You're going to say, I'm going to go over my marketing plan with you. I'm going to talk to you about your house and anything you should maybe be doing between now and next summer to get your house ready to sell for the most money. That's a really hard one to do. When you're meeting with your different business professionals, the painters, the HVAC, the roofers, whatever it might be, these are great questions to ask them if they know what the rate of return is on those investments. There's a business that puts out something every year, and they do it by region, and I actually just looked it up. I'll see if I can find it, maybe we're on break. And I was really surprised. They have major bathroom remodels, minor bathroom remodels, major kitchen, minor kitchen. And they go through a lot of different improvements that people can make to their home. The number one thing that got the greatest amount of return, it was like 97%. And this is hyper local. It was in the Austin area. Anybody want to guess? What's the number one improvement?
Covered patio? Kitchen?
Floors.
Garage doors.
What?
Really?
What? I think part of it is because if you go into Austin and you see people that are kind of flipping the houses and they're going to that super modern look, it really changes the exterior of the house. And so they were able to kind of take some numbers and look at it. So that may not translate to Round Rock. However, it was really interesting to see, you pay a couple $1,000s for a really cool looking garage door. It does completely change the curb appeal. So it's interesting to kind of see what things will actually translate into more money. Paint is something that you can usually get about 100% return on because it's cheap and makes a huge difference, especially if you've got super bold, bright colors, if it looks dirty. The browns are out, the grays are in, so if you can kind of make that switch. So paint is a really good one, especially painting the front door. That's the advice that I give a lot of my clients. That first impression is huge. So
Painting what?
Painting the front door. Mm-hmm. So when you go up to them, that curb appeal is going to be flooring is probably number 2.
Go back to paint the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like a specific color or just
fresh, looking fresh and nice and well taken care of? Because when they're standing there and that buyer's agent is, wrestling around with that lockbox and they're looking around going, oh, those first impressions are pretty quick.
It's relatively inexpensive too. My parents have just redid the entire thing about but when everything, and I want to say it was under. They have a solid wood, real pretty front door, but it was 25 years old, and I want to say it was under. It was like $200 is what he charged them to sand it and restain it, and it's beautiful. Changed the whole front, so it was definitely a really good investment for them because it will stay looking pretty.
Power spraying.
Yes.
A lot of people can just borrow a power sprayer from somebody in their neighborhood. That's almost no cost, and that's just labor, and it's very therapeutic to use that.
Yes.
They're stressed from the sale of their home, but just making sure things are clean, well kept. That's huge. That's huge. And if you guys know just from showing houses on the buyer side, and you know what buyers are looking for. I mean, you watch just a little bit of HGTV, you work with some buyers, you walk in, and you know they want granite or quartz and stainless and wood floors or hard floors and carpets out, except for maybe in the bedrooms. And, you know, just encouraging those sellers to make sure the place is clean. Professionally cleaning the carpets is always good, especially if you can fluff them back up. Getting rid of smells. I always bring in a professional stager. It's about $125 for a stager to come in and do a consultation. And what they'll do is they'll walk through the house and they'll say, put these things away, put these in the closet, you know, clean this, and then they can have the uncomfortable conversation about their house smelling like a wet dog. Or
So who typically pays for that consultation?
I do.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that I talk about in my marketing. I feel like it's well worth it. I don't want to ruin the relationship with my clients. And the before and afters are just glowing. So it's money well spent. In my mind, it's going to end up netting them more and making them. Somebody told me when I first started in real estate, with buyers, you invest your time. With listings, you invest your money. So if you're not in a position to invest your money on listings, you might need to find some more buyers first. You might need to partner with some people because you've got a lot of upfront costs. You've got your lock boxes, you've got your signs, you've got your marketing, you're paying for your photography out of pocket, you're paying for a stager out of pocket. You're doing a lot of things up front that you are not necessarily getting compensated for. So if you're new to the business, that's tough. That's really tough. I've been in it long enough and I've done enough now where I don't even flinch at paying for things. I just look and go, that's not worth my time, that's not worth my time, you do it, you do it. Our team's actually very fortunate. We have a company that will come and put the signs and the lock boxes on the houses for us. We found out that was eating up a lot of our time. It was business driving halfway across town to put a sign in the yard. So that's something that we're able to pay for now and leverage that. There are some different concierge services that you can hire to do things like that. Eventually you'll get to a point you might want to hire a contract to close person to handle your paperwork for you. There are some, you can do it a la carte sometimes with people, you can share somebody with something, but you'll have to continually be looking at your business and going, what's using the most of my time? Is this a good use of my time? So it's important to track your business, track your hours, and find out what your hourly rate is.
So you said that usually the realtor pays for consultation. Do they pay for the actual staging as well?
So there's a difference between the consultation and staging. So a consultation would be that person coming in and giving them advice and making them. I do have a stager that will come in and she just really likes things to look great. And so she might bring by some fluffy bath towels and some pillows to make the house look good and not charge me for it. But most stagers are going to start charging you for those. I will usually do one add-on service. Maybe it's minimal staging. For example, if I have a vacant house that feels really cold, we might put some flowers in there or some pictures on the wall or whatever it might be, and I might pay for that. And I'll give my stager a budget. I might say, you have $250 to make look as good as you can. I might do that for staging, or I might do a Matterport tour where you go through and you do the floor plan, kind of video game style if you've seen those. Maybe I'll do aerial drone footage. I would not pay for a full staging of a house. Full staging of a house is going to be $5,000 to $7,000 probably to the entire house. When you're dealing with higher end listings especially, it kind of becomes the expectation that you're doing some staging like that. Some realtors might pay for it. I don't. I kind of say, put a house on the market and I say, if you want more money for your listing, you can pay for a stager and here are the people and you will get more money. So the stagers that you can meet with in your business-to-business meetings will tell you how much more that those sellers are netting when they do the professional staging. I had one that was out in Lago Vista. I think it was on the market 180 days with a discount brokerage. And then they listed with me, and we called it kind of a container house. It looked like a container on stilts. It did not have great curb appeal. It was very interesting inside, and I kept saying, stage it, stage it, stage it. They were more willing to reduce the price by $10,000 than they were to pay $7,000 for staging. In my mind, that didn't make sense. And they were investors. I knew they had the cash. Some people just don't have the cash. So it's, I don't know, so people have a hard time paying for a service like that because they don't see the end result. But if you meet with a stager and they can kind of explain to you that but when I talk about I pay for staging, I'm talking about just the consult. Because if you're paying $5,000. Okay, so pre-listing appointment. Those of you that have been on a listing appointment or you've had a listing, what are the things that you need to do or gather before your appointment?
Those binders from the title company.
There we go. I like it. You're listening.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You can do that prior to the appointment, or you can do that after you get the listing. Capital Title, I think they charge $5 per binder. $7. Thank you. They're required to charge, so they don't violate any laws. They can't be given away for free. Some title companies show that line a little bit. So you can have a binder. Maybe it's from a past listing. Maybe it is for their listing, especially if it's your first listing appointment. Hey, $7 is not much to invest to make sure you get this listing, right? If you're going on multiple listing appointments, to create a listing binder and then take a specific binder to that property may not be the best use of your time or money. But if you have a week to prepare and this is your first listing, you do everything you can to get this listing. Don't worry about the $7. So yes, a title binder would be great, because you can say, this is what I've already done for your house, this is what I'm going to put in your house when it shows, and it's kind of like, just sign the paperwork or I'm all ready to go. What else would you do?
Take all the paperwork.
What kind of paperwork?
So the listing agreement, well, IABS.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and list all of this stuff under after the appointment, because after the appointment you get all these signed, or at the appointment, either. Okay, so we'll skip IABS, not IBS.
Give me that.
Maybe scan the neighborhood first, so see what's around them.
I like it. I like it.
A CMA.
Yep.
If you got information beforehand, you can do a net sheet form.
There we go. I'm skipping that line. Net sheet. So you want to research the neighborhood for sure. They're going to know their neighborhood really well. I went on a listing appointment in Paloma Lake and I lost it. I did not know that they had a mud 1 and a mud 2. I didn't realize that they had now separated into 2 different muds with 2 different tax rates. So when I was doing the comparable properties, I didn't know that they were at different tax rates. And they said, no, this changed. And they knew that I wasn't as familiar with the neighborhood as another agent that they met with. I lost that listing because of it. There's another one that I went to. Half of the schools are Liberty Hill schools, half of the schools are Burnett schools in the same neighborhood. I didn't know that. Luckily, they're past clients. They like me anyway. They taught me that, but I did not know that about the neighborhood. I could have lost that listing. So you really want to look at past listings, current listings. Are the tax rates the same? When you're in the MLS and you're looking at things too, do you guys know about the overlays? Yes, no? So you can look at the school districts. Okay, so you say, oh, I did that. There's this little overlay button and it shows you right here. So if you're looking at something that's in between the school districts, you might see that. You might also want to look at the flood zones. Okay, so you can choose all of these different things to look at. Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. The elementary schools. So you might want to just zoom in on that neighborhood and kind of see, well, how is this falling? Where's the relationship to whatever it might be? The other thing is too, when you're pulling your comps for your CMA, you don't want to be pulling 2 very different elementary schools or 2 very different middle schools or high schools because those are going to have different values to people. So those overlays are really helpful. Okay, title binder, you got CMA, you're going to do your research, you're going to do your net sheet. Where else are you going to look to do your research? Good. The tax records are also going to tell you a lot about the house. So I used to go into Realist and then type in the address. There's this little $sign here. Click on it. Okay. The more familiar you get with MLS, the better. Have you taken the Matrix class from your? Should have when you got your license.
Yes,
Haven't
but
yet.
it doesn't show
It's-
all
yeah,
of
it's-
this.
There's also an advanced matrix class.
Which is like up here.
So there's not an in between. I haven't taken
Not
the
that
advanced,
we've
but I
come
should.
across so far.
Well, and I just learned about, honestly, I think I just learned about carts in the last year or two. You haven't utilized carts when you're,
I know there's so much
I'm
to
gonna,
learn, but
okay, I gotta show you
Sorry.
carts because that's gonna blow your mind, and that just saved me. I kind of went, I could have had hours of my life back had I known about these carts. So anyway, so here are your tax records. When you go down to right here, this is going to tell you a lot about the property. It's going to tell you Upper Brushy Creek WCID. Most of the listings in this area, you're going to need that WCID, and what that is a disclosure letting you know that you're in a certain taxable area. It's already included in the property taxes, but it's something that you need to disclose. So the brokerage's rule is that you're going to just get it signed, and you're going to submit it with compliance with your paperwork. When you're sitting at the closing table, they're going to sign and notarize it. You do not have to get it notarized prior to closing, but you need to disclose it so that nobody backs out of a sale before closing.
It has to be notarized too.
It will be notarized at the closing table. It does not need to be notarized prior to.
It can be notarized in advance if you want to put it like in the documents.
Yeah.
And the title people will notarize it for free.
Yes, yes, they'll notarize them all, yeah.
And so what exactly is that again?
It's a disclosure that says that it's in the Upper Brushy Creek tax area. So you see it right here when you pull up the tax records, Upper Brushy Creek WCID. Okay, and it's 0.02 of their tax rate. And what you're doing is you're just disclosing to the buyer that it's in that area. So example, if that tax rate ever changes, you can't come back and say, I didn't know I lived in this special tax area. The other thing that you're going to have on there is if you have any MUDs. MUDs are municipal utility districts. So what's bringing the utilities into that neighborhood because maybe they're outside city limits. That's part of the infrastructure and how they pay. That's also a separate tax. The community impact did a study, did an article probably in the past couple months that explained MUDs, and it did a list of all of the MUDs and which ones were the most expensive to live in and compare that to living within the city. So if you want to get on community impact and look some of that up, it's kind of cool.
That was a really cool article.
It was a great article, and I actually looked at my MUD that I lived in, and I was like way below what a city expense would be, and I was like,
So I'm in Mayfield Ranch, and mine was like crazy high.
yeah, yeah. So sometimes people ask questions about, well, what is a MUD, especially if somebody's moving from out of town. It's a way for them to pay for the infrastructure, the sewer and stuff. And there's classes on MUDs if you want to take classes on them. And it can be a lot, it can be less compared to living in the city. A lot of people will ask you about tax rates. Well, what area of town has the least amount? Well, that depends on the school districts, the MUD, the WCID, because if you look, all of these different things make up the tax rate. And so just by moving one neighborhood over from Mayfield Ranch to Vista Oaks, which are right next door to each other, we have different tax rates because of our MUD and because of our school districts.
The bad thing too is like Sienna and Paloma Lake. They're like right on the border of Round Rock and Hutto, and you have a cheaper like tax rate. We went and looked at homes, and I was like, "You're not paying 3% for Hutto. Not doing it.
Yeah.
Like I'll pay it for Round Rock, but I'm not going to do it in Hutto."
And then, so you can set your criteria with those tax rates.
And it's crazy how you think it's one, but it's something totally different.
Yeah, one of the questions I ask people when they say, I want to live in Round Rock, well, why is that? If they say, well, it's because of the schools, well, then you better do a search by Round Rock schools, not by Round Rock address.
Right.
Okay, you probably run into those already too. So you'll see your MUD on there, you see WCID on there. You're going to get some really good basic information down here. You're going to get your square footage. Always verify that with them. If they've done some sort of, I had somebody that took their attic space and turned that into usable square footage that was heated and cooled, so that counts with their square footage. Their builder square footage differed from their county tax record square footage. When you're selling, it's good to go with the greater one because it increases the value. As long as you have a verifiable way to say, yes, this is in fact the square footage of this home, go with the higher one when you list it. It'll tell you the number of stories. If it's a 1 story, you want to compare it to other 1 stories, not other 2 stories. There's just not enough. Look and see if there's a pool sometimes. It's always nice to kind of glance and see, okay, are they the original owner? I think this is KB Homes right here, so it looks like they bought this. Yes, they bought it from KB Homes. They're the original owner. So I know you're the original owner. You walk in with information. Anything else that you usually gather from tax records?
Are these pretty accurate, or do you actually need to do your own tax record research?
This is straight from. These are the public records that go straight in here. This is all we have. So you're good. Good question. Sorry?
That's just the dollar sign.
Right, it's just that little dollar sign you click on. The other thing it's nice to know too is I always do glance at what is the estimated value of the property. So if they're valuing this at $233 and I come up with a listing price of $300,000, I might need to scale it back a little bit. Okay? Typically your market value is going to be higher than your tax value. Not always, but that's typically how it is in the market. So
the dollar sign, where
right
is
here, this little dollar sign, that took me straight to the tax record. And go click on some of these things. If you find an error with the listing, you're reporting it. Like all these little things mean something up here. Took me a while to realize that too. So when you're doing that, you want to pull out the past listing data as well. If they are not the original owner, the MLS electronically on here only goes back so many years. I don't remember the year. Doesn't mean they're the original owner, but it's always nice to go back and see the pictures. When I set the appointment with them, so I'm doing all these things, talking to all of these people, trying to set an appointment. You are not trying to sell yourself at this point, remember. You just want to get in front of them and get into their home and work on that. Small little goals are going to get you there. You're not going to be able to sell yourself just by meeting somebody at an open house. You get that listing appointment. The other thing that I always do is I ask about improvements. I ask if they've done any improvements over $500. It's typically how I say it. I don't want to know that you replaced one vanity light fixture that's not changing the value of my CMA if you put in all new flooring. I caution you though also, sometimes they're trying to sell their house to you and show their value, so they're going to inflate their improvements. I had somebody tell me once, we painted, we put in all new tile floors, and we have a pool. I got there, they painted over the wallpaper, the tile floors were hideous, and they have an above ground vinyl pool. I was picturing something very different in my head. So give yourself a range when you go into these things. You never know what you're walking into sometimes. Smokers, that's going to devalue the house. How much? I would just be on the low end of your CMA, and you don't want to offend them. This is a choice that they've made. This is their lifestyle. That's fine. If you're smokers, that's your choice. But it does devalue the home, because even if there was a smoker in there 5 years ago, a lot of times you can still sell it. So you're going to let them know at your listing appointment, one of the objections we might hear. Are you by chance a smoker? Oh, yeah, but only in the garage. Or, oh, okay, well, I'm kind of picking up on that. That's one of the objections we might hear. Just know that. That's usually how I leave it, because you cannot change that. I've heard people talk about getting different things to take the smoke smell out of homes. I don't think you can. I have some friends.
If you paint it, it'll go away. It won't.
No, I have some friends that completely remodeled their house that somebody had smoked in before they purchased it. Every time I walk in their house, I smell. They've probably been there 8 years. It will not go away. Duct cleaning is something that people forget too. I've never seen it go away.
You do a combo of duct cleaning and kills, several layers of kills, and then those.
I know what you're talking about.
Not just an air freshener,
No,
but the
it's
kind that push air through with certain smell,
Yeah.
certain things.
I know what you're doing. It's gonna help.
Yeah.
But people like me that are sensitive and walk in and go, nope, and they immediately turn back around, and it is what it is. So just know, you don't need to necessarily ask them if they're a smoker.
The problem
but
is
if
they
you walk
can't
in-
smell it.
Yeah, they can't smell it. And even people that will smoke in the garage, it seeps into the house and you can smell it.
Oh, there.
That will affect. So I asked for the improvements, the tax records, the net sheet, the CMA. You're going to research the hood, the title binder. You're also going to prepare your marketing. You should have some sort of a marketing plan, and we're going to go over what that marketing looks like, all of the different free things that you can do to market a home. So you're going to present that plan to them at the appointment. So make sure that your marketing plan is looking good. One of the things that I'll do is I'll do my CMA, and we as a team share Cloud CMA, which is what this is. And so what you do is you pick your comps in the MLS, and you just hit Cloud CMA, and it creates one of these reports, and you can customize it. It talks about what a CMA is. We have our branding on here. It plots all the different, where the properties were. A summary. This is a lot like a quick CMA on the MLS. And then it puts the pictures in with all the stats of all of the different homes that you've decided to do. Obviously, is in a new neighborhood. It's a good way for them to see all the pictures. Cloud CMA has a monthly fee. And so unless you're doing a lot of listings, I wouldn't start off by paying this. Brittany at the title company has some resources that are similar to this that are free. So if you can make that work for a while until you start doing listings at a higher level, until this is working. You guys have a question? Good?
Oh, I just didn't know where this was coming.
It's a program. It's a subscription to Cloud CMA is what it is.
You can use the one through MLS.
Absolutely. You can use whatever you can get your hands on. And my suggestion to you, especially relatively new, don't pay for anything. Last thing you want to be doing is paying $30 a month for a service. So this is just what we happen to be doing. Because I'm on a team, you're hearing me talk about different types of leverage. We have a contract to close. We have somebody putting our signs in our yard. We have access to this program. These are a lot of expenses for an individual agent to take on. So that's just a team versus individual. Now I do pay to be on my team, but you're not paying, so it's not all glory. Anyway, this is what this program does, which is really cool. So I take these and I print them off. I have a net sheet and I have my IAVS, because you should always present that at the first substantial conversation about real estate in Texas. And I take them and there's a hardbound book that you can buy. You can purchase. You can talk to Kayla up front. And it has a little strip of glue in the bottom. And you put all the pages in there and you put it on a little heat machine, and it binds it just like it would a normal book. There's different ways you can bind things like that. You can do the little spiral plastic thingy. You can put it inside kind of like an old school cover when you had book reports. However you want to present it is fine. You can send it electronically and not even take a paper copy. I met one listing agent who does anything on so I sent her a handwritten thank you note. There's some really good stuff in here, and you can get these kinds of things from the National Association of Realtors, from Brittany or the title companies. I talk about pricing, I talk about the market, and we have conversations about some of these graphs. There's also some marketing stuff in here I'll get to a little bit later. This is something that comes from Brittany. There's a seller's roadmap, and you can get your branding and your headshot right over here on the side, which is really nice. So when you're meeting with them, you can kind of talk them through the entire process with this cute little graphic here. And I kind of go through and I write stuff on here. I do this for both my buyers and my sellers. I have this kind of wheel thing, and I talk about all the different parts of the process as we talk about. We have some pieces that we've created that automatically get uploaded on here where we compare ourselves to others. We maybe compare ourselves to discount brokers. We have some before and after. So here's a good example of staging. This was my listing. They were listed. This was their listing photo. I brought in a $125 stager and paid for professional photos. We got a full price offer the very first week after it didn't sell with the other agent. I really think the only difference was the photo. I mean, there's like burn marks on this place now, right here. It just looks gross. But these people just had no idea what to do to their house. And she came in and she said, take all that stuff off your fridge. Take this ugly tablecloth off your table. And she'd probably use the word ugly. That's why I don't do any of the consultations. I can't keep my mouth shut. There's some more tips here, which are great. Some open house things. You want to be setting the expectations. Anyway, this entire Cloud CMA thing There's that IABS. And then the other thing you can do is print out some of your reviews to slide in there. Oh, by. So that's what we take to our listing appointment. I think that's about it that you're going to be preparing. You're going to make sure that you have your signs and lock boxes ready. If you have not purchased them, maybe wait until you get a listing, or maybe you borrow one from a friend or something. You can borrow the frames and then just put your own little cardboard thing in there. Or maybe you just get a generic Keller Williams one that you're partnering with somebody else on to split the cost, and then you have your own rider with your name and phone number on it. It has to be a black and red sign. That's a Keller Williams requirement. Even if you change your colors a little bit for your own. Do you guys have any questions about prospecting or how to prepare for an appointment? And we'll talk more about what that appointment looks like after a little break. And that'll maybe clarify a little bit of the preparation. Good? All right, let's take a 7-minute break, and then we'll get another 25 minutes in before lunch, and then we'll. What did I say I was going to show you guys? A net sheet?
Cart.
Carts? Oh, you want to see carts? Yeah.
You said something about saving hours of your time as well.
Yeah,
Carts.
Yeah.
Oh, carts. Okay, this is it. Okay. So, all right. So let's say I have this. Okay, this is my client coming in today here. So she's set up on an auto search. Here are all of her results. And let's say I take her favorite ones, these 4 right here, and you go down to carts. And I'm going to add, I'm going to go to new cart. Sorry, I'm going to hit new cart. I'm going to name this her name. And I can associate it with her, and I hit save. Oh, I already have a cart. Okay, let's put it in mine. Okay, so now when you go to your home screen, Bruce is probably back here cringing. He can do a better job of if you look, here's my cart that I just created, and there it is. So you know how, like, I would find the listing, I would copy down the MLS number, and then I would go back to search, and I would type in all the MLS numbers so that I could create them all. And if you don't know this, then I would select them all, and then I would hit directions, and then it would map it for me. Well, that was just a lot quicker. This gets rid of copying down the MLS number so that you can group them all together. So, did I lose you? All right, let's go back.
What is this for?
Let's say this is for buyers. You have somebody who wants to look at these 4 properties. They're interested in these 4 properties.
But you sent her 15 properties.
I've sent her all those properties that I sent her. Now, the other thing is, too, is she goes, oh, I want to see this one, but I don't see it anywhere in my list that I sent her. No problem. Let's just type in Round Rock and grab one real quick. Okay, she wants this one too. Well, then I go to carts and I hit add to cart. Oh, I select it first. And I hit add to cart.
So this is out of the list that you've already sent a client.
Yeah, you can grab them from anywhere. You can grab it from the list that you've already sent somebody. You can grab it just by doing a search. Whenever you see something and you're like, ooh, this person is interested in seeing these properties, you just create a cart with their name on it, and wherever you're at, you just click it and hit their name down here in the drop-down menu, and then add to cart. So now I have my cart filled with all of their favorites. And then from there, I can print them all. I can, directions is very helpful. I can say, okay, well, this one we're going to see first, and then we're going to go see 2, 3, 4, 5. You can also, which I did not know, manipulate and move these. Like, let's say I want to do that one first. You just keep moving it up. Well, now I've switched the directions. Like you hit down there, and now it's remapped it, and you. Yeah. All right, let's take a break.
Exclusively by Keller Williams agents. Say hello to Keller Covered. It's home insurance made awesomely simple. It's a revolution for your clients and for you. For your clients, Keller Covered makes it easy to compare quotes from a variety of top carriers in one place. Information on a client's new home is automatically loaded into Keller Covered. No jargon, no friction, no what? With a few taps, your client confirms their information, then gets multiple quotes in just 2 to 5 minutes, not in hours. Nothing's faster, nothing's easier, nothing's like it. Your client can explore options, choose the coverage they need, and buy if they like. They get a plan that's truly right for their family, budget, and new home. So when they move in, they can rest assured because Keller Covered has them, well, covered. Of people who've already tried it, 100% say they'd recommend it. For agents, Keller Covered revolutionizes how you work with clients. It expands your relationships. It gives you data to be more involved in more aspects of their homes and lives. When it's renewal time, you're there with help to make sure your client's protection is up to date and you are top of mind. Keller Covered is an industry-first competitive advantage. Not only does it bring you closer to clients, it slams the door on outside companies hungry for your commission. Many have tried and failed. They'll be back. But you and Keller Covered will be there, delivering the future today to make your clients' lives easier, year after year after year. Keller Covered. Home insurance made awesomely simple. Good insurance. Good insurance.
Kelly, what am I doing today? Kelly, add a local insight. Kelly, what am I doing tomorrow?
Got it.
We need a pool. Let's start with a budget. But don't we want to live close to
My parents.
my parents? We'll pick this up later. Nice.
Okay, now what? Remember the guide? Now, how about that pool?
Companies are nothing more than people. People create everything inside an organization. And what's going to make us better in the long term is the way that our people think. Our goal is to tap the way people think and put it to use for everybody.
Keller Williams is going to listen to what their agents want for tech.
To break and rebuild the entire command system, which is what we call the lab process.
Saying, okay, tell us what works, tell us what doesn't.
There were a lot of, can we do this, can we do that? The answer is always going to be yes.
I feel like I designed it.
I really want to show you some updates and products, mostly command.
Our agents can be smarter.
I'm not doing multiple data entry and things aren't falling through the cracks. They're all in one place.
Now we can focus on the relationship with the clients.
I like to call it high tech and high touch.
We're creating the industry's first innovation partnership with all of the agents out there.
I feel like I'm on the cutting edge of my profession.
This is for the agents. This is for the people that are actually doing the work on a daily basis.
They invest in not just the technology, but also in the people in the company.
Command makes my life easy.
So when people say you can't build software, well, actually we can, and we actually are.
Hi Avis, we just wanted to congratulate you on your retirement from the Texas Real Estate Commission. We appreciate your last 12 years of service, and now we know you can spend more time with us and your grandkids. So congratulations. We love you. Congratulations.
The lab's experience has been wonderful.
This is for the agents.
Real estate in a way that hasn't been done before.
Keller Williams is asking agents what they want and then doing everything possible to deliver that.
They're keeping it real simple. That means that our agents can be smarter.
High tech and high touch.
Break and rebuild
Tell us what works, tell us what doesn't.
so that we can go out there and be the most impactful real estate professional with a human interaction and also live the life that we've been dreaming of.
One of the secrets to great success is to change your perspective on failure. Everyone experiences failures before they ultimately succeed. Some let their failure stop them. Some keep trying. You'll probably have to fail a few times before you get it right. Success is not about avoiding failure. Failure is about avoiding failure. Success is about trying. Fail fast, fail forward, fail often.
You guys can't see, but I have the one and only Gary Keller behind me and Seth Campbell.
Where? Here we are. We're here.
Here we go. Look at this. Here it is. We're just doing a quick command overview. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Great to see you.
This is command overview. So we're just doing command, step-by-step instructions to get started. If you've never logged in, we're just walking through everything.
Perfect.
So yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Keller Williams was kind of a cultural experiment. At the end of the day, I wanted to see if I could build an organization that put people first.
As soon as I heard about the economic model and how they were going to share with all the people that helped build the company, I actually said, this will be the #1 company in the world.
The Y4C2Ts was the first time in my life that I'd seen a company actually express their value system and what they believed in on paper.
We are no longer outsourcing to third-party companies. World-class technology companies don't rent their vision, they own it. The only company on the planet that cares more about your success is only Keller Williams.
All right, Gary, I want to start this off with hearing a little bit about your journey.
T-minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
family here at Keller Williams, and families hug. With all the reuniting that's going on this week, we want to pass along a few helpful tips to make sure you're ready to hug. Tip number 1, be transparent. You don't want to scare your friend, catch them off guard, or put them on the defense. When going in for a hug, make it clear what you are doing. Tip number 2, show your sincerity. There is nothing worse than a sloppy, half-hearted attempt at a hug. Remember, a hug is a gift. And when you go in for the hug, grip your friend firmly in your arms for at least 2 seconds and mean it. Tip number 3, go with the flow. If you have a bear hugger approaching you, embrace it. Don't force the one-armed, half-hug back slap. Nothing says awkward more than trying to turn a bear hug into a halvesies. Now that's it. If you follow these simple tips, you'll be ready for an awesome week filled with hugs. And may I remind you, you gotta give and get 7 hugs a day, or you start to get a little bit weird. So let's all make it a goal to give out 7 hugs every single day. Happy hugging!
A few years ago, we gathered all the smartest people we knew: agents, market centers and regional leaders, technologists, data scientists, and asked them some big questions. What does it look like when technology is simple, smarter, and more human? How can we ensure agents stay at the center of the transaction where their clients want them? How do we accomplish this while eliminating the cost? It's called
Casey created it. Can you enlarge it a little? Can I enlarge it? Great question. We download it and we zoom in.
There's the plus.
Sorry?
The plus thing over there.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be better if I just download it. Okay, thank you, Kay. All right, so this is our net sheet. There's lots of different ways to do it. The thing I like about this is that it's 5 different scenarios. So this is kind of worst case, best case scenario. It can range, as big or as wide as you want, so you can manipulate it. If you don't know what you're walking into, that's a great way of doing it. So the items in green are things that can change. The items in white do not change. So what I do is I go to the tax records and I put in the amount for 2019 that's on there. You already saw how to do that by clicking on the $sign. And what that does is that it does a daily rate, it prorates it, and that's going to get important here at the bottom. Put in the listing percentage. Of course, you want to try and do the 6% if you can. I do cut my listing percentages if they're buying and selling with me. What I have learned is if you're going to do that, get a buyer's rep agreement signed at the same time as your listing agreement. Remind them that they have an agreement with you. That is why you are discounting your listing. I had somebody once go buy a KB home without me. I had discounted their listing and said, why didn't you include me? They're like, well, we found it on the weekend. You weren't with us. And I said, that's fine, but I discounted your listing because I was going to be buying and that. So the owner's title policy, this is something that the seller typically pays for. It is negotiable on the contract. I've only really ever seen the seller pay for it. The way that you can get around it, let's say a buyer is pre-approved to a certain amount and you want to be netting more to the seller, you can have the buyer pay for that owner's title policy. That way the dollar amount on their loan doesn't change, but their fees change. That's just kind of one way to squeak a couple $1,000s out of it if you kind of need to work and they're not approved anymore. Policy additions, that's on the contract where it says it will or will not be amended to include for the boundary lines. This is if you're super familiar with the 1 to 4 family contract. Okay? When you have a 1 to 4 family contract, all of this information can go on there. If you haven't been through a transaction yet, this is all probably very the policy additions is if you check that box and say, yes, we would like to amend it because there's a little bit of a cost with that. It's not a huge cost, and so that's why that goes in. The survey, I've been putting in $500 on the survey, usually a little bit less, and that's just for a standard like subdivision. That's the value that I'm putting to it. If it's anything with acreage, it's going to be more. You can call up your title company and say, how much do you think a survey is going to be for this? The title company will usually order a new survey if you need one. And so they, a lot of times, will know the prices, and they've got a person that they get good prices on. And then that gets paid for out of the closing costs. They don't have to necessarily pay that up front. Home warranty, that's something that we typically see negotiated. That's a little low. I would probably ask for about $500, maybe up to $600. If it has a pool, you're going to be on the higher end towards $600. You're going to ask your clients if they want a home warranty. You're going to explain the pros and cons of that when you're on the buy side, and you're going to let your sellers know typically that that will be asked. What I like to tell my clients, my personal opinion, is that I don't like them if you have the savings to make it yourself, because the home warranty company is good as a homeowner. If it's a first-time homeowner and they don't have a lot of the savings or whatever situation they might be in, it's a nice safety net for them. So that's kind of, I tell them the value of that, and is it worth it? Closing cost credit, that's another part on the contract. If somebody wants credit towards their closing costs, you'll see that in there, and that needs to be deducted. The great thing about a net sheet is that you can show them that an offer for $315 versus an offer for $320, you know, if you have a $5,000 closing cost credit, but it says $320, you can show them very easily what the difference is. Because they just hear this first sales price number and they oh, but they need to see what all these fees total. Because when you start adding big numbers and like the agency fees, these are the commissions. That's determined by this percentage right here. The attorney, doc, all of these white ones, these are all the title fees that they're getting when at the closing, and those are regulated by the Department of Insurance. The only thing that changes a little bit is the like a closing fee in there. And that can vary just very slightly from title company. Nothing worth really worrying. There's going to be an HOA transfer fee if it's in an HOA. I tell my sellers, your HOA can do whatever they want. They can charge whatever they want. There's going to be a resale certificate fee. There's going to be a transfer fee. They can tack on all sorts of fees. And they're, oh yeah, those HOAs. Yep. And then we just prepare them for that. The sellers will oftentimes have to pay for that resale certificate fee prior to all the title work happening. So that's one more thing that they're going to have to front before closing. They have to go online, usually pay it, and then send so that the title company. Taxes. This is where this number comes in. So if this is the daily tax rate, and right now, this one was closing in April 2018. What happens is the sellers pay for the taxes for the time that they lived there. A lot of people will escrow their taxes when they pay their mortgage. So I explain to my clients, you're going to pay your prorated taxes at the closing table for the time that you lived there. After closing, you're going to go back to the bank where you have your loan being serviced, and you're going to ask them to refund you your money from your escrow account, because you no longer need to pay that anymore. You paid it at closing, you also pay it. So their net is actually going to increase after closing by whatever this prorated tax amount is, roughly. They're going to get that.
Not something that
it will eventually make its way to them.
Once it goes through closing and the title changes, they'll send them a check.
Yeah, they'll eventually send them a check, but you tell them that they should call. I mean, they want to give them their forwarding address.
Right. They should know that they're coming.
Yeah. So a lot of times when I'm sitting at the closing table, when you're making small talk, I say, did you cancel your homeowner's insurance? You've already hopefully had the conversation about the utilities. And I say, don't forget you're going to be getting your taxes back if you escrow. I kind of remind them, because now you're at the end. Right now it's a lot for them to kind of, that's just something you want. A lot of times I'll do that with closing. You also could set up like kind of an email after closing and say like, thank you for a great transaction. Please review me. Here's my link. Don't forget to cancel your policy, you know, get your deposits back from the utilities and go through all those different things.
I don't suppose you have a
don't have a graph. Great idea. If you make one, please send that in my way too. You may or may not put in repairs or incidentals. For example, I have a house, Troy Lane. We were thinking of repairing the roof before closing. We knew it needed replaced, and we got a quote, and so I put that in there so they could see that that was going to get paid at closing as well. A lot of the different people, these business-to-business relationships, a lot of them will get paid at closing. They want the business, and so they're okay with that. You want to make sure that there's money left for them. You want to make sure you feel good about it, because if they don't get paid, they have to put a lien on the house, and that ruins your relationship with them. So if you're asking for a roofer or something like that to get paid at the closing table to make the deal happen, just be cautious. So I show them what their estimated net is. I do not take their payoff information, the money that is left on their mortgage, and mess with that at all. That is between them and their bank. That is their business. I am not in the middle of that. The title company will order their payoff. So they'll order the final amount that's due to them, close out their loan, because you as an individual are going to screw that up, and that is not your job. That is beyond your scope. So I think it's a great idea just to give them their net, and then I tell them, and whatever's left on your loan or any other liens on your home will be deducted from this equation. Won't get messed up in things you don't need to be messed up in. So the closing date helps with the proration on here. And then the other thing that happens is, so let's say we have a multiple offer situation. I come down here, I put in the type of loan, if it's an FHA or a VA, I put the percentage they're putting down, the earnest, their option, their the length of the option period, and then the financing length. That's the one on the third-party financing addendum. It says how many days they have to get their loan. And all of those go on there so that you can kind of compare, and they can kind of. So when you're putting multiple offers into a net sheet for your seller, they can just look and say, okay, here's it. So this seller knows that they're going to net anywhere from this to this based on these scenarios. Super helpful, because there's no way they would know what all these fees are. And then after I present this net sheet, I always get asked, are there any other fees? And then I say, no. What about the photography? That's all taken care of in your agency fees. The photography, the staging. I tell them I'm going to do whatever it takes to get your home sold. I'm not going to come back to you and ask you for more. The only exception would be if they decided to do whole house professional staging.
And they do understand, you explain to them that you're not getting that whole $18,000.
Yes. And so that takes care of both the buyer's agent, and I split it with my brokerage, and I split it with Uncle Sam. So this is not in my pocket.
First number looks really good.
Yeah.
The final number is not so good.
No, it's not. Minus expenses. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a net sheet. So that kind of takes us. Here we are with all of those things. So you get to the appointment, and those of you that have been on listing, you've been on a listing appointment. Who else has been on a listing appointment? Okay, you have.
I've been on two. Well, actually, I've been on 3, but I only got one of the listing.
Tell us, what do you do at a listing appointment? What do you typically kind of do? Knock on the door, then what?
I have my binder with me with kind of set expectations about what we're gonna discuss and about how long it should start methodically through.
So you start with the paperwork and the research?
Yes.
Okay.
And well, yes and no. Kind of, I start with some expectations, and then I get their expectations. You know, so I'm not just talking the whole time.
Yeah, you hearing them. Okay, do you remember? I know one was a friend.
So one was my next door neighbor, and they were like, wow, this is a great presentation, but obviously we're not going to get enough money back, so we're just going to wait a couple of years before we sell. That was great. That was fine. The second one was, I gave the listing, and then the guy was like, that's really good. Now how will you discount your commission.
You know about your rebate, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so, so since I couldn't do that, that was a no-go. And then the third one was, you know, she was like, I trust you. This is great. Thank you very much. Let's go.
So you guys familiar with the DISC profiles? Right, the personality profiles. So I'm a high D. I'm direct. Okay, like if this is it, let's get to business. If somebody comes in and sits down and they start asking me about my dog or something, like I'm annoyed. I want to see the numbers. Like other people want to just talk and trust and feel, and they don't care about the numbers. They don't care about the money, but they want to get a good feeling from it. So part of it is coming in and reading that situation. Maybe you got some information over the phone, maybe the way that you came across that lead, you might know a little bit about them. So once you get in there, you kind of have to be a little bit perceptive of what is this person looking for. So I like that you're saying, what is it you're looking to get from me? I usually will start off by touring the property because it kind of breaks the ice. I've heard two different kind of philosophies on when you're touring the property, the different approaches you should take. Because I am a D and I'm very direct and I'm just very efficient, I'll go through the property with them and they'll say, what do you think of this room? And I'll be like, this is great, this is great. Oh, wait, I'd probably paint that red wall. Okay, this looks good, this looks good. Oh, I love this. And we go through. But I'm offering advice throughout the way. And I'm taking notes. And I'm writing down all the different features of the property for when I work. That's just how I operate. The downside of that is because I'm focused on taking notes and because I'm giving advice, I may not be working on. So you might want to put those things away and purely focus on making a person. The downside of that in my mind is it's not very efficient. So because I'm an efficient person, I guess I'm putting the tasks over the relationship sometime, and that's something I realize. I'm still having good conversations with the person, I'm still noting their decor, and I'm asking them questions, but I'm kind of incorporating all of it. So just decide what your personal style is and what your approach is. Your personality style is not going to fit everyone. My personality style, and that's just kind of how it is. But if you can kind of do what's called mirror and match, notice their temperament and you kind of theirs, you're going to have a better connection with them. And you find that probably that's something that you do very frequently anyway. It's just kind of human. So my suggestion is to start off by touring the property. You want to gather information. You also don't want to, unless you've seen the house before, you've got that kind of relationship. You don't want to be giving them pricing if you haven't seen the kind of condition that you don't want to be telling them what they do or don't need to do to get the property ready if you haven't seen it. So you kind of want to just walk through, get a general feel for it. And then you also are going to notice maybe it has some really good features you didn't know it had. Maybe it has a really cool casita or something out back. You had no idea it was there. Well, that's huge. That greatly affects the value. You guys ready?
Yes, they're ready.
Okay. Now they're ready. Come on in. Hi there.
I know. When to jump in here, I didn't want to interrupt again.
Come on in.
All right. So I'm Jen Forgy with Apex Roofing, and we're out of Georgetown. And I brought along our business partner, James Paynes. And so mainly, I'm just going to talk just for 2 seconds about roofing, and then if you'd like to ask questions about the foggy window process and pricing and different things like that, let them take the ball with that. But a couple things about Apex Roofing that make us a little bit different is we offer our clients and your customers an extra 10-year labor warranty. So they get that in addition to the whatever shingle warranty they have. So that's important for wear and tear for later life, things like that. We also have a full repair team. So we're not going to turn your people away if it's a quick little shingle that needs to be replaced. Sometimes, most of the time, we don't even charge you for that or your customers in hopes that we get the roof job later. So no job is too small. We're not going to turn it away because it's a $50 repair versus some companies that say they won't mess with it unless it's like $1,000 or more. So we're equipped to be able to handle small, large, whatever. Also, I track all the referrals. So, if you send a customer my way and they end up, booking a roof, I track it all in our CRM system. And I usually like to hand deliver a gift card. I think I found out y'all's rule is you can only accept $50. So I do the $50 gift card and I pay this stupid $4 whatever fee. So you don't have to worry about that either. You get your full amount. And roof inspections, we'll do free roof inspections. I know a lot of times y'all have your option period and you're calling in a panic. Just the earlier I know, the better, and we usually try and get there the same day if our schedule allows. Sometimes we'll move people back, a little bit to work with the option period realtors. So we've been known to do that if the other customer agrees too. And then I just brought this to kind of show after each roof, each client gets this little thing here, and it's a box of cookies and a thank you note. So they're well taken care of. This is the cookies. They get a referral check, so to pass the word on for us, little thank you card, all of that. So, and then I go by their house, and funny enough, they actually allow me to take a photo of them with this, which is kind of funny. And then I post it on social media, but it's a lot of Sun City people that let me do this, by the way, but but we'll go anywhere. Austin, Cedar Park, Leander, Lampasas, Florence, pretty much all around. Waco is a little too far for us, but we will go if it's some, giant wood roof or something really out of the norm. So it for me, and then I'll let them introduce themselves.
So my name is Brooke Leonard. I'm the owner of Shane's Paints, and this is my husband, Shane Leonard. You don't see me much. I'm behind the scenes. To give you just a brief recap of how this started for us, I've been in property management for 15 years. In 2005, I obtained a condo conversion property. No, I wasn't the realtor, but I was in charge of getting the units ready. Once under contract and the inspector came, I had to make miracles happen in a very short time frame to close the deal, save my owner's money. Windows became the most frustrating process of that. And he was already working for, at that time, Marble Falls Glass, and I'm hiring other people, and it's, what is going on? Like, having to wait on their schedule, it's taking 2 and 3 weeks, I'm having to pay for an inspection. Yes, I'm getting the paints done, but it was a lot of suffering and it wasn't happening fast enough. So I created Shane's Paints, really because I was needy and greedy and I wanted my things done so my deals could close, which branched off. You don't have to replace the frames if it's foggy. It's kind of a big gimmick and a company, oh, well, you have to do this, your frame's gonna leak again. Well, with Shane's Paints, we offer a 5-year warranty on the paints because as long as the seals are good, you're not going to have a problem from that window. Why spend $30,000 if you can spend $5,000? Especially in a time crunch. If somebody's selling their home, they don't have the money, they don't want to pour money into it. They don't want to waste more money if they're selling their home. So this is an easy budget way to save your clients money. All parties are happy and it happens instant. We have free estimates, proposals will come out, measure, look, and it's not one of those things, if you think all of your windows are foggy, he's going to look at them. 9 times out of 10, there are people that are wrong and the window's fine and it was just something in between and can save you money. There is no reason that it should break the bank. And it's kind of you hear rumors that in some cases glass can cost as much as a roof, and it really shouldn't. It can happen that. I've utilized it for all of my apartments and, like I said, all of my condo deals. And it's something that is very beneficial to the client having it quickly. You will get other bids from other companies and you'll see the differences. And we generally get that call back because a lot of people, they get into this business and they'll start with paints, but then they realize, oh, I can make $30,000 off this, $5,000. We don't do that. We get enough in quantity that we don't have to make a huge income off of one job. That's not what it's about. There's people that can't afford that. There's a time crunch. We have an end goal to get to. I've had so many people that have had to cut some of their commission to pay for things because they had to get that deal done. That's not the way it should work. All work together, and it doesn't have to break the bank. So
I've had really good feedback from the customers that have called me and we work together, and it's fast, and we both track everything, so and nothing but good response. I do like the fact that sometimes if you're in a big hurry, you can have your customer or yourself, your homeowner, actually snap a pic of the foggy window and send it to me, and I usually then give it to Shane, and it saves a lot of time. He can usually give me an estimate from a photo. It's not a have to. I think Christina from your office was thinking that was like the only way I might offer foggy window repair, but he will go out there, of course. But I just threw that out in an emergency. It's real easy, just a snap, and we can usually give you an estimate that way.
We've had jobs that somebody, they're trying to list their house and somebody broke a coffee table coming to show, and the realtor's freaking out. We can replace the glass for the coffee table. So it's not just limited to panes. For a window, you've got the front doors, you've got shower doors. There's really no limitation there. Anything glass, call us. And like he said, a lot of times you will get an estimate right there or a range. And you really won't find anyone that can match it. But they immediately assume that they're not getting a really good deal. There's no way it'd be that cheap. Because everybody marks it up. It's the world we live in, right? Everything has its cost. And so we've partnered up with Apex and roofing and windows. It happens when those replacements work, so it's been very beneficial for all parties, especially with my contacts. He's utilized a lot in real estate and anything to do with that. Everybody needs something done quick so they can get to the end game, get their money, get it closed, get it bought, rented, whatever the case might be.
I have to tell you the reason why we started partnering is Apex owns a window company, window, screen, and door. And so Shane has been working, helping us with that company called Skinner's. And so that's how we ended up kind of expanding into the roofing side. So, and then you have a little foggy window cloth that I'm going to give all y'all, and we'll put it out there on the table, and they have all their paperwork and magnets and everything out there too. So that's all right.
Also repair the broken window trim from hail damage.
Vinyl trim, if that's broken, a lot of times your inspectors will call out the seals and they think they have, and I've been told you have to replace the window. I call him, I have vinyl. In 20 minutes, it's done and we're closed. Because if the window's not damaged, you can replace the vinyl. People don't do it because you have to be delicate, and if you can break the window at that point, it's very good. So it's a very good process. Everyone money in the long run.
Have any questions?
Thank you, and thank you very much for lunch.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
We'll come grab it and chat with you out there, and then
sure.
We're ending at 1, so it's up to you guys how much you want to hurry back. When you're all back in, we'll keep going. We'll see you. Thank you. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't know what it was either, but I've got one that sent it to you guys. You have to complete a guest card, or they will not pay.
I wanted to ask about that today.
And they're slow.
There's a girl, Sonia Perez. She started about the same time I did. We were in new orientation at the same time, and she's done this for like 8 or 10 years, but not at Keller Williams, at other places. And so she was kind of being my go-to on everything, and she was supposed to be here, but she's sick today.
Yes. I feel like I designed it.
I really want to show you some updates and products, mostly Command.
Our agents can be smarter.
I'm not doing multiple data entry and things aren't falling through the cracks. They're all in one place.
Now we can focus on the relationship with the clients.
I like to call it high tech and high touch.
We're creating the industry's first innovation partnership with all of the agents out there.
I feel like I'm on the cutting edge of my profession.
This is for the agents. This is for the people that are actually doing the work on a daily basis.
They invest in not just the technology, but also in the people in the company. Command makes my life easy.
So when people say you can't build software, well, actually we can, and we actually are.
Hi Avis, we just wanted to congratulate you on your retirement from the Texas Real Estate Commission. We appreciate your last 12 years of service, and now we know you can spend more time with us and your grandkids. So congratulations. We love you. Congratulations.
The lab's experience has been wonderful.
This is for the agents.
Real estate in a way that hasn't been done before.
Keller Williams is asking agents what they want and then doing everything possible to deliver that.
They're keeping it real simple. That means that our agents can be smarter.
High tech and high touch.
Break and rebuild.
Tell us what works, tell us what doesn't.
So that we can go out there and be the most impactful real estate professional with a human interaction and also live the life that we've been dreaming of.
One of the secrets to great success is to change your perspective on failure. Everyone experiences failures before they ultimately succeed. Some let their failures stop them. Some keep trying. You'll probably have to fail a few times before you get it right. Success is not about avoiding failure. Failure is about avoiding failure. Success is about trying. Fail fast, fail forward, fail often.
You guys can't see, but I have the one and only Gary Keller behind me and Seth Campbell.
Where? Here we are. We're here.
Here we go. Look at this.
Woo-hoo.
Here it is. We're just doing a quick command overview. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Great to see you.
This is command overview. So we're just doing command, step-by-step instructions to get started. If you've never logged in, we're just walking through everything.
Perfect.
Awesome. So yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Keller Williams was kind of a cultural experiment. At the end of the day, I wanted to see if I could build an organization that put people first.
As soon as I heard about the economic model and how they were going to share with all the people that helped build the company, I actually said, this will be the #1 company in the world. The Y4C2Ts was the first time in my life that I'd seen a company actually express their value system and what they believed in on paper.
We are no longer outsourcing to third-party companies. World-class technology companies don't rent their vision, they own it. The only company on the planet that cares more about your success is only Keller Williams.
All right, Gary, I want to start this off with hearing a little bit about your journey.
minus 10, 9, 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
We're a family here at Keller Williams, and families hug. With all the reuniting that's going on this week, we want to pass along a few helpful tips to make sure you're ready to hug. Tip number 1, be transparent. You don't want to scare your friend, catch them off guard, or put them on the defense. When going in for a hug, make it clear what you are doing. Tip number 2, show your
Light bright throughout, open concept, grays are in, on the stainless steel, granite or quartz, and all that. Yeah. I'll say they're looking for nice lots without their neighbors too close. And I'll kind of mention things that I think maybe the property has, or specifically mention things that the property doesn't have, that I might want to bring up because I've looked at the comps, and maybe the comps have it, but this one doesn't. And so I'll say, given that, what we're going to do is we're going to look through these pictures, or look through these houses and see how your home compares. So I usually take my book and then I print off a quick CMA. You guys know what those are, how to do those? Show you real quick like here. So when you are in here and you've got your results, let's say I want to do this for an hour, you just hit quick CMA. And this will kind of give a little screenshot, and it'll space it out, active, pending, and solds. And so what I like to do is I go through and I say, okay, 115 Edison, let's look at the pictures. And we look at it and we go, oh, this one has this going for it and this going for it, but yours has this going for it. And then they like kind of critiquing of these other houses. And they're like, oh, but that's not great. I'm like, yes. So we'll decide, does this house show better, show worse, or is it about the same? And then over to the side, I'll kind of put a little arrow up, a little arrow down, or an equal sign. And so we're kind of making note as we go through each of these properties. Some people, engineers, want to go through every single property and give a dollar amount to every single thing. And it might take a little bit to go through these. Some people just go, yeah. We know that we've already decided we think our house is worth, or we know that our house is probably this, because they've been combing the listings and looking at the competition for the last 6 months. So some of them have something in their head already. Some of them want them to know, what do you think? A lot of times I'll say, well, based on this, what do you think? If they're thinking something crazy, I kind of want to know that so I can get my objection handlers ready. Some of them just don't know, or they want to know what you say first. They don't want to show their hand or something. So you get all kinds. and I'll kind of give a range, and I would say, well, based on this, this is the closest comp. I think your show's better, or I think it'll be similar. A few things you're going to want to take into account. You're going to take into account the market. So if you're listing something in August and you're pulling all the comps from May, June, and July at the height of the market, you need to account for the fact that the market is slowing. And so if you start promising them prices that happened in May and saying, oh, well, they got this in May, so you should be able to get this in August. No, the market has changed. So you want to explain that the market has changed a little bit, and that's seasonal and that's typical. You also want to look at what the competition is on the market. So, for example, if you're in Terra Vista and you have 25 houses in the same, in the same price range, and this one maybe needs a little bit of work or whatever it might be, you're probably going to have to be a little bit more aggressive if you're pricing if they need to sell it because they got a job transfer and they need to move in 60 days. So you've got to kind of take the market conditions, what their competition is, their situation, all into account. Some people are just like, I don't care, I just want a good price, I don't need the most money. And then other people are like, I don't care how long it takes, I want the most money. You kind of got to figure out what is their priority and what is their strategy. The other thing that I tell them is, it doesn't matter to me how long your house takes to sell, I'm here for you no matter what. What concerns me is that if it sits on the market, you know, look at this one that's been on the market 171 days. What do you think people's perception is of that house? And people go, something's wrong with that house. And they have no problem telling you that. You go, yeah. If we take 171 days to get the price right, if it's not selling, then we have what's called a stale listing. There's not a whole lot I can do for you except for drop the price. So they go, oh, okay. I once had somebody accuse me of just wanting a quick sale, and I said, no, it's not that I want a quick sale. It's that the most qualified buyers are going to come at the beginning. They've been waiting for your house to come on the market, and they're ready to go. They're pre-approved. So we want to make sure that we're appealing to those buyers right away, and we are priced appropriately. I've also lost some listings because they wanted to try for a higher dollar amount than I wanted to try for. And so what I let them know is that I'm willing to try anything within reason. So if I say I think your home is going to sell for $230 and you want to try $275, I am not the listing agent for you. It is against the code of ethics for you to take an overpriced listing. So don't do it, please. Now, if you think that house is going to sell for $230 and they want to try for $240, that's not unreasonable. Let's try for $240. And I set the expectation, and you can do this a couple of ways. You might put in your special provisions on your listing agreement. You can write in the special provisions on your listing agreement. You do not write in the special provisions on your 1 to 4 family contract. In your listing agreement, you might put, after 3 weeks on the market, price will be dropped to X. A better way of doing that is to go ahead and fill out a price amendment for your listing, an amendment to your listing, where you make a date and you say, on this date, we're going to drop the price to this. And then you have them sign that along with their listing agreement so that you don't have issues down the road with them reducing. If I were a seller, I would be very uncomfortable signing that. That's pretty aggressive. So I haven't done that. That is, paperwork-wise, the best way to do it. I usually will have a discussion, and if I'm a little worried that they might forget that conversation, then I'll write that in the special provision. You can always change your mind. You know, situations might change. But you want record of, no, we agreed this was high, and now we're going to drop the price appropriately. So studies have shown that you should have 3 to 5 showings per week in just a normal market. And if you're getting less than 3 to 5 showings per week, it means that you're likely overpriced. There's 4 things that affect the sale of the home. And I tell this in my listing presentation. You'll write this down. The 4 factors that affect the sale are location. It's not location. It's location, condition, marketing, and price. You're not going to change the location, but you've taken the location into account when you pull the comp. Condition is something that you've hopefully addressed or you're addressing at that appointment. Maybe they've got a fog window pane and they need to take care of. Maybe they can do some quick painting the front door, whatever it might be. You want it to look good. I would suggest not to advise them to do like full kitchen and bath remodels, because if they don't see the return on that, they're going to be pretty upset with you. I've never advised anybody. That's So you're going to get that condition as good as makes sense for them, and it depends on their time frame. It depends on their situation. Marketing. You're going to go over your marketing plan with them. We'll talk about that in a second. And then the last one is price. And so if the location and the condition are set, they're not willing to do anything else to their home, they've staged it, everything's clean, everything looks good. The only two changes that you can make while that home are listed are then the marketing and the price. And so you tell them all the things that you're going to do on the marketing side. And I always tell them, if there's anything I'm not doing, please let me know. I want to try everything. I want to pull out all the stops for you. I want to make sure I get as many people that see your listing and come through that door as possible. But you have to work with me on price. The market can only bear what the market can bear. Make the market, I only interpret. You cannot make something worth more. You cannot make them profit what they want to profit if the market doesn't bear. Okay? If they've only been in their house 1 or 2 years, they're probably going to take a loss. All my buyers plan on staying minimum 3 to 5 years before you're even going to break even, just based on a lot of it. So that's just something to know. So have the pricing conversation up front. If you've been in my class before, you've heard this. My very first sale was a listing. It was my neighbor. I didn't know her well. She liked and trusted me because I lived next door. We didn't have any conversations about price. I came in with a price that I thought was good. She raised it $10,000 and said, this is what I want to list for. And I said, great, sign here. I was so excited. After about a month on the market, it didn't sell. And I came to her and I said, I think we reduced the price. We need to reduce this price because it's not selling. And her response was, we need to increase the price. I said, well, why is that? And she said, well, I've waited this long and they need to compensate me. Have these conversations up front. You're also, it's okay to walk away. If somebody is completely unreasonable, it's not worth your time. You need to figure out, even though you are newer to the business, you're desperate for these listings, they will take away from what other clients you could be gaining if they suck you dry. I had a lot of listings my first year that I probably just broke even in terms of my time. Trailer that I cleaned for her. I paid for a storage unit. I paid for a mover. I mean, I paid for everything to get this home sold. She had no money. It sold eventually, and I don't think I really made much off of it. I learned a lot. So a lot of them will just be learning experiences as well. So then the last thing we're going to go over, so questions about pricing. Those are huge. And commission objections. People say, what kind of rebate are you going to offer? What are you going to offer me? What kinds of objection handlers have you like to use?
I like to use it. I'm providing value, and I'm at least worth this. But also like the breakdown of where that money goes. That I'm not making 20 grand off of you. I'm making 3 grand.
Absolutely, absolutely. So here's a little visual if you want to do this. All right. So if you're taking a 6% commission, you put out a little 6 of your business cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you say this represents 6% commission. 3 of that is going to go to the buyer's agent. And here's why. Buyer's agents are not getting paid by the buyers directly. You as the seller are going to pay for that person's commission. That's how we do it in Texas and in most of the country. The buyers are paying for their closing costs and down payment on their home, but they can't also pay for the buyer's agent commission. So you're going to want to pay 3%. That's the industry standard. There's not getting around that. If you offer less, you will have agents that will purposely not show your home because they will not be getting compensated what they hope to get compensated. Do you agree with that? So this is also called isolating the objection. When you say, just you kind of stop them each time and you go, does that make sense? Are you okay with this? And they go, yeah. Well, we know we got to pay the buyer's agent this, but we want you to cut your commission. I'm like, okay. So each other percentage here represents a piece of my business. Well, the first one is I have a split with my brokerage. I work for Keller Williams. We're the largest real estate company in the world. I am out of the Round Rock Market Center. Ava Zukash is my broker. She's the former head of the Texas Real Estate Commission. They provide me with my training, my classes, insurance, my compliance. And this is how you know that you're getting good service from a reputable company. There's nothing I can do to change that. The other piece is my marketing. I am going to pay for a stager. I'm going to pay for the lock boxes. I'm going to pay for professional photography. I'm going to maybe add on a Matterport tour or drone footage or Twilight. I am going to be printing flyers, I'm going to be holding open houses, and I'm going to spend a lot of my marketing to make sure that you're getting the most. Right? And the last piece, this is my personal income. This is what pays for me, my family, my home, and also my taxes and my health insurance that I don't get through my job. What part of this would you like me to cut? That's all there is to say. I cannot change my bills, my mortgage, my health insurance. I have to pay for my children. I cannot change my split with my brokerage. So if you want me to cut my commission, the only thing I can cut is marketing for you. Are you sure that's what you want? How do you argue with that?
Redfin will do it.
How come they can do it? Now here's one thing. You can't make rude or disparaging remarks about another brokerage, but you can tell them facts. Redfin has a different business model than we do. We are a full service brokerage, and we found that when a home is marketed properly with an agent that's educated and working full time and available any time of the day for you, you're going to net more and walk away with your property. Now let me ask you this, why is that commission a concern to you? Do you think the response to why is this commission?
Just a lot.
It's a lot of money. You want the most money, right? Mm-hmm. Well, by hiring somebody like me, you're going to get the most money. Would you go with the cheapest lawyer if you had a $300,000 lawsuit? Would you go with the cheapest doctor if you had a $300,000 surgery? And why do you want to go with the cheapest agent if you're selling a $300,000? If you haven't taken bold, you need to take bold, and you're going to get a lot of those. I mean, obviously, I practiced this a time or two. You're going to get a lot of those objection handlers. Once you get in the business for a while and you're more comfortable and you see your value and you feel your value, you're going to have no problem articulating. I think the hardest parts is when you're dealing with a friend, because you want to cut them a deal, especially a friend going through a tough time. But you've got to feed your family and you've got to make your living too. So a little bit, like maybe a 0.25% if they're buying and selling with you, but I don't do much more than that unless it's a pretty.
What about the negotiation process between you and the?
In terms of commission, or just in general?
Just the price.
The price. So there's a lot of different things. The thing that you have to remember is that your job is the go-between. Okay? You're the buffer. You're the de-escalate this and communicate this appropriately. You cannot make miracles happen. So if somebody brings you an offer, you present the offer. You say, this is the offer. You put it into a net sheet and you say, this is the offer. What would you like to do? We can accept it. We can decline it. We can do a counter, which is actually a decline and a reoffer. Or we can not respond at all. I mean, those are your options. You cannot make something exist. Likely they're going to say, I want a counter. Well, then there's two ways you can counter. You can counter by saying, we want to counter, or you can do what's called an invitation to resubmit. If you're in a multiple offer situation, there's a paperwork that says we invite you to resubmit your offer given these terms. If you counter, you're essentially agreeing to something and then the ball is in their court. So if you get a better offer in, you're in a situation where you can't accept it because you've given a verbal counter or an email counter. So what you need to do is invite them to resubmit an offer. There's a lot about negotiations. There's also a real estate negotiation expert class that you can take that's really good. My advice because we wanted to all focus kind of on the beginning here, about 20 minutes left. My advice is to call a mentor, call someone in the ALC, call me when you get into the negotiation situation. Because the very first times you do it, it's very scary. You're talking about thousands of dollars back and forth. And you're not confident about what you're saying. You're afraid of it just floating away or whatever it might be. So you need somebody to bounce ideas and make sure you're getting the right advice, giving the right advice. That's one of the hardest parts. I used to be the most afraid of the negotiation process, and now it's my. So you'll just gain confidence along the way. The best thing to do when you're listing a home to help you with your negotiations is to disclose from the very beginning. So we're going to move over here into after the appointment real quick and put some more paperwork in, and then we can finish up with all of the different ways you can work. When you disclose everything you can about the property, there's a lot less to negotiate. So I'm going to kind of go through and make a list here. You're going to have, as far as the paperwork goes, you're going to have the listing agreement itself. You're going to have what's called the limited exposure agreement. This is really weird. It's worded very strangely. So let's say you sign the paperwork on Monday. It doesn't go active until Friday, but the sign's in the yard on Monday, and you get an offer. The point of this paperwork, the limited exposure agreement, is so that they know that the exposure of the house has been limited until it's fully marketed. So if they choose to accept an IR prior to it going active on the MLS, then they can't come back and say, well, we could have gotten more had you fully. So that's a piece of paperwork that you need to sign with the brokerage. And all this stuff is in a checklist. And you'll probably need a little assistance your first time doing all this because it's a lot. You're probably also going to get a copy of the survey and what's called a T47. And what that is the survey, the drawing of the property lines. The T47 is an affidavit that they have notarized that they take to the title company. And that's just pretty much says, I haven't made any changes to the boundary lines, and if I do, they're minimal, and here's what they are. And it allows you to reuse the survey so that nobody has to pay that $500. It can be rejected by the title company or by the lender, but if you can put it out there in the beginning, that's part of the contract. Who's going to pay for it if it gets rejected? You're going to have your seller's disclosure. Make sure you are using the new seller's disclosure. Another big thing too is if there is a previous inspection report that was noted on the previous seller's disclosure. Now you're probably just seeing that on the buy side. I've gotten bit by this a few times now. I thought I learned the first time, it took me twice. If somebody says there's a previous inspection report and it's 47 pages long, you need to get a copy of that and you need to give that to your client so that they can see it. This is on the buy side. So if you're selling and a previous inspection report has been done in the last number of years on there, you need to provide that as well. You're just providing all of the information you have access to. If the sellers no longer have their inspection report, you do not have to go find it. It's just that if they have it and it's easily accessible, you need to give it. Let's see here, what else? We're gonna have, we always do utility information. And that's not who's providing the utilities, that is how much the utilities have cost. For example, I had a listing and the windows, the seals are broken in almost every single window, but we disclosed that in the seller's disclosure. And then they said they wanted all new windows. They were asking for like $30,000. And we were like, why do you think you need new windows? And they said, well, it's not energy efficient. And we said, but you've already seen our utility information in the MLS. It was in the packet. You've seen it. So you knew that when you made the offer. And they were like, oh yeah. And then we settled $3,000. So it ended up saving them a lot. When you make that information known, and then they come back and they say, we want this, you say you already knew that when you made the offer. You already knew that when you made the offer. So that's the whole strategy, is disclose, and then they knew that already. I'm not quite to the level of wanting to have an inspection done on the property and then hand that over, because the buyers are going to have it done anyway. And it's kind of their due diligence, their responsibility to have the property inspected, so your seller doesn't necessarily need to pay for that. I have sold homes that have had inspection reports, inspections already done, and we didn't really have. Buyers kind of like seeing what they were getting. So if the property is not in great condition and that's something you keep hearing, maybe you have that inspection report done and you disclose it so that buyers know what they're getting. Strategy you and your sellers decide to.
So in the utility information, would you actually put in the view document section the like January to February?
Yep. Electric, gas, and water.
Electric,
and this is what we've paid. This is what our usage has been, or whatever. Whatever information you can provide, it's just nice for them. We also do a little sheet called What I Love, and that's just the sellers have an opportunity to highlight things that they like about their house that don't fit into the MLS fields. They kind of write it up a little bit. I feel like I'm forgetting some paperwork here, and I don't know what it is yet.
If it's in Austin, you need the energy audit.
Oh, yep, you need the energy audit in Austin. Good job. Yep, and you want to get these things in there. That's what the listing agreement is. But that, you're correct, that's the right way.
As I'm unfamiliar, what is the energy audit?
It is somebody from somebody comes in and just does an audit of the home and says this is areas for improvement to make it more energy efficient, and it's a City of Austin requirement that you have to provide that.
Okay.
There are exceptions to some of these, like the seller's disclosure doesn't need to be given if it's new construction, or there's some other rules, but these are generally what you're going to be seeing. After the appointment, you're also going to put all this stuff into the MLS. I like to make my listings go active on Thursday. The MLS syndicates out to Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, all those different websites. So you want to give it a day or two before the weekend. I don't like listing on a Monday because then it hits everything on Wednesday, and then people don't come see it until Friday, and so you're kind of wasting your days on market. And then if it's a hot property, you might only have 1 or 2 people come, and then you're faced with one single offer instead of what could have been a multiple offer. So I like to maximize it and hit right before the weekend, blast it out, maybe do an open house the first weekend or the second weekend. Again, I don't do them myself. You can have other agents do them. I'd probably do a 2 to 3 hour block. Just don't interfere with church on Sunday. Sunday used to be the typical open house day, but we're seeing them Saturdays and Sundays. I'm not sure that one gets. You can enter that open house information into the MLS, and you should, so that's as well. Resource that I want to tell you about, you're going to write this down. I took a class from Abby Vasic, and she has the coolest ideas on how to write listing descriptions. If you ever have an opportunity to take a class from her, do it. So if you go down here to listing language, there you go. She has a whole bunch of stuff on vocabulary. She has worksheets on different things to do. Her whole theory is that you should be applying to the emotions of the buyer when it comes to the listing descriptions, not the facts. They're getting the facts from, this is how many square feet, this is what it is, da. So she wants you to walk them through an experience of, imagine cuddling by the fireplace as your children, or whatever it might be. And she kind of tells this narrative and this story that really kind of hooks people. And so I like that theory. I feel like that's the piece that's sometimes kind of missing, is it's like, hey, I'm just going to do some data real quick. So really beefing up those listing descriptions and appealing to people's emotions. That's why people buy properties. Investors and engineers will buy because of statistics. Pretty much everybody else is because they feel something. Feels like home. They get a good feeling about it. A lot of times you'll have, so you want to appeal to that. So she has tons and tons of resources there. And I think her classes might be on here. You're going to enter all of that stuff into the MLS. It's really important that you fill out all of the MLS fields that you can. When I walk through the house at that listing appointment, I'm taking lots and lots of notes. You can actually print off the different fields of the MLS. If you go to your board, I think they have the sheets there, and you can go through and you can check, okay, this has full gutters or partial gutters, and you could do that all at the house. Again, it kind of takes away from your attention of that relationship if you do it. But those sheets can be helpful. You want to put everything in, especially the direction that the home faces. That's very important to a lot of different cultures. North is very desirable, so if you don't have that marked on there, you could be missing out on these. You want to put captions on all of your photos. Gas is another one that's very popular. I always click gas on property and gas available, just in case that buyer's agent that set it up made a little bit of an error in which one they required. I think what else? Just fill them all out. You want to really just kind of beef it up, because as you know, when you're running a search, you've got your criteria, and if it doesn't match just one of those criteria, they're missing it. Use professional photography always, and you can mix up the photos. If it's kind of been sitting there for a while, you can kind of change your photos. It doesn't have to be the front of the house. You can mix it to like a really beautiful kitchen or pool in the backyard or whatever it might be to kind of give it a fresh look. You can go through and change the captions and add some details about the things that they're looking at, like stainless steel appliances put in 2018. You don't want to use the words new. That's deceptive. It's not accurate, so use dates on everything. Or recent. That's think. Other than the marketing, dive into here. there anything else that you're just don't get? I want to know. Good. You put all this stuff in the MLS. There's a place where you add all these different documents to that. You're not going to put your listing agreement in there, your limited exposure agreement, your IABS, but the rest of that stuff, you're going to just give all of that information. Somebody submits an offer, they have all the documentation. So let's talk about the marketing. I'm going to go ahead and just put that right down here. Of course, you're going to enter it in the MLS.
Documents on the MLS.
Yeah. So when you're in here and you go to add edit, this is where you're going to add a new listing right here. Once you do that, you go to residential input form, and you can look it up by the person's name or street number. I think name is the easiest. And then once you have a listing, let me see. Okay, so once you have a listing, there's your residential input form. That's where you enter everything in. There's an open house input form. That's where you put your open house. That's where you change when you go contingent or pending or sold. I would mostly put pending taking backups because you backup offers, you don't really want to turn those away unless it's like this one right here was a pretty hot property and they don't want to be bothered and it looks really solid because there's tenants in there. So I think I just marked it to pending. There was a reason for it. You have a place where you're going to upload your photos, and right here is where you upload your documents. Click on that, and it's pretty user friendly to walk. So that residential input has all these different tabs that you go through, and you click all these little boxes throughout the whole way. Again, you might want to take some classes on this. These are pretty involved.
On the documents, if you're going to scan them in, don't scan them in all at one time.
No.
Scan them in
Good
separately.
Yeah. That way you can title them all separately as well.
Yeah.
When it comes to marketing, you can. Of course, you're going to put it in the MLS completely. What else?
It's down here. It's going to go to Zillow. And
it's going to syndicate to all that stuff.
Social media.
Social media. Good.
Create a thing on in KW Design.
Oh yeah, you can utilize some of the new command stuff that I know nothing about. Bruce will be the one you hit up for
That's
that.
what I did. It turned out really pretty.
So social media, you can just post like on your own page. You can post it. There's a lot of different Facebook groups, like Williamson County Coming Soon. That's one of the Facebook groups. Well, you can post it on there. You post it in a lot of different places. I wouldn't pay for a Facebook ad unless you're kind of like running out of, kind of throwing money away at that point. What else?
Included on a property tour?
You can do a property tour. Here's what I think about property tours. How many of you have been on a property tour? Is it because you were a super busy agent and you were looking for your clients? Because you had nothing else you were really doing and it sounded like fun? Busy agents with buyers are not on property tours.
But I also went because there's a lot of other people that were going, and it was very interesting to hear what they thought.
Sure.
Their comments, especially since I didn't know anything.
It's a great learning experience if you're a new agent. I'm not discouraging you going. What I'm saying is when you're marketing a property, who is it that you're marketing to? I don't go on property tours. If I have a client that wants to see homes and they're interested, I'm taking them to the homes. I'm not going on a property tour. Property tours started a long time ago. It's kind of an old school way of doing things. It can be a lot of fun. You can still learn a lot. You can see a lot of cool things. But the chances of you finding a perfect house for your buyer client that you have are very slim. So the chances of you finding a client for your house because you put it on a property tour are slim. Now here's where it is helpful is if you are looking for feedback. Why isn't this house selling? I want the realtors to come through and nitpick it apart for me. Or I want the realtors to come through and tell me it's overpriced so that I can then take that information to my buyer because they don't, or my seller because they don't believe me. Okay, so there is value to a property tour. They don't think it's probably going to get your home. There's a little bit of a difference there. That's my personal opinion. I'm totally wrong. What else?
We're going to go with your opinion. You're more experienced than all of us.
You know what? When you sell a home by putting it on a property tour, you come back and you throw it in my face, okay?
Door knocking.
Door knocking's great. And that's going to be probably in combination with maybe an open house. Okay, here's a trick I'm going to tell you about too. There's something called a Zillow walkthrough video. You need to download the Zillow app. You need to go to your listing and you record a little video. It's not going to be a great video. It's going to be you walking through the house. There's no sound. Zillow will put properties at the top of their searches the more features that listing has. So if you have a photo and a video, you're going to be at the top, whereas somebody with just photos is going to be at the bottom. So by adding another feature to your listing of a video, that puts you higher in the search. You're going to do reverse prospecting. What's that? Yeah. Okay, well, I better show you then. On my here, I'm going to click it. I'm going to hit reverse prospect. These are all the people that put a heart next to it. All of the agents here, and then a light bulb. I would grab these email addresses and I would send it to them and I'd say, hey, you haven't been to my property yet. You haven't shown it. Can I help you? There's going to be an open house this day. Because
that's actually the listing agent there? Or
this is the listing agent. You're not going to get the client's information. They're not. That's not on here. But Christina and Greg and George are all people that are interested, and I'm going to email them. Oh, there's Angie Padilla, I think is who that is, Keller Williams Round. I'm going to email, and she actually showed this house. So I'm going to email them and I'm going to say, your client has marked this as one of my favorites. And maybe you've gotten those emails from other agents before. And then you're going to reach out. It's called reverse prospect. So this is something, all of these are things that you're going to talk about at your appointment with your marketing. You're going to say, I'm going to do reverse prospecting. I'm going to be reaching out. The other thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be gathering feedback. Every Monday I gather feedback on my listings because it's right after the weekend. And I want to go back to my people and say, this is how many showings you've had. This is the feedback we've had. You know, you're priced appropriately, you're priced too high, something smells, whatever it might be, I want to tell them about it. Once I just had somebody had too strong of an air freshener in their house. All I had to do was unplug it. They needed to know that. You can talk about how you might be doing a coming soon marketing push. That before they ever go on the market, you're going to start marketing them on social media and marketing them with the brokerage and, you know, maybe posting on our group Facebook page or something to get the word out before they even hit the market. There's something called AdWorks. You guys know when you're shopping online and then creepily you go to a new website and that thing pops up and they're marketing to you? You can do that with people's houses as well. You have to pay for, but it can follow people around them. This might be something that you do a little bit later. Not right at the beginning.
What about when you're having a team meeting and they always have that window where is there property coming up?
Yeah, absolutely.
That way the other agents can jump on it before anybody.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's one of the things that you can talk about when you're talking about your marketing, is your value that you bring with being a Keller Williams Round. Now, there is not a Keller Williams Pflugerville or a Keller Williams Hutto to my knowledge. We are the biggest one in the area, and so we have a lot of agents that are showing. You see a lot of the same names when you're out there touring homes. So being able to come to a meeting with some of the top agents and say, this is my property, like, I've sold a few properties that way just by talking to people at the office. Any other ideas? Okay. And the only thing that really costs money here is if you were to do a AdWorks or if you were to do a paid Facebook boost. Everything else on here is free. It's just a lot of legwork. It's a lot of communicating, figuring out what's going on, solving that problem. Making sure your MLS fields are full, priced appropriately. We are a little bit past time. I want to be respectful of your time. So if you need to go, if you want to hang out, ask questions. If you want to continue with more questions and station you're welcome to. Please feel free to call me if you have a listing or a listing appointment and you just want to ask some questions. I'm here for you. I only brought in 2 business cards. I am out in my thing, but you can find me on Facebook too. I'm part of the Keller Williams group. So I'm very accessible. I'm happy to go grab coffees or whatever too if you ever just want to chat about an upcoming listing. Do you want anything?
Yes.
If you do have that, if you do have that review sheet there, I'd appreciate your feedback. You can put it in a stack. I see there's a little lockbox, but I'm not sure if it'll fit there. But we're going to try. We'll just give it to Taylor at the front desk.
Don't force the one-armed half-hug back slap. Nothing says awkward more than trying to turn a bear hug into a halvesies. Now that's it. If you follow these simple tips, you'll be ready for an awesome week filled with hugs. And may I remind you, you gotta give and get 7 hugs a day, or you start to get a little bit weird. So let's all make it a goal to give out 7 hugs every single day. Happy hugging.